Yeah, I was thinking of
And we should now be streaming.
cool of a way to maybe bring them into holotype so I could like put them on the game board, but I don't
Hmm.
think I can do that while I'm running the game, unfortunately.
That's okay.
Sad.
Also,
Um,
Dalton, did you invite me to? You did. Thank you.
We are live, I can confirm.
yep.
Look at that.
Hello, hello.
Dinodom says first. Welcome, Dinodom.
Hi, Dino Dom. I saw you earlier today.
Where have you been? Hi,
Hello,
everybody.
everybody.
Wow. All right.
You know, it's nice.
Let's roll
I'm
in.
seeing some new names in here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's always fun.
How you guys doing?
Welcome, everyone.
Well, we're gonna play Holotype.
We sure
That
are.
we are.
That's what we're gonna do.
Oh, but we're missing the most important piece. I can't believe I forgot to bring this in already.
Turn rat, turn rat, turn
Turn
rat.
rat.
I will have you know, Dalton, that I recently played Holotype with other people.
Mhm.
I'm gonna wear pink today, and I had to use a turn rat, which like nobody understood the reference. But
Mr. Loophole asks, "Is Alex dead?"
you know,
Rip.
this is the big announcement. No, he's all right. He had obligations tonight, so he couldn't join.
He had some family stuff. His brother's going out of town. He was like, "I'd
Yes.
like to spend some time with my family," and we're like, "Correct."
Yes, that is true. That is the correct decision. Why is Amelia in the void?
See,
Oh, sorry.
I asked her that when we started as well.
Long story short, it was the most simple travel solution. I was recently in Maastricht for a mosasaur conference, which was very fun and very cool. And I have some other plans in the Midwest this upcoming weekend, and the easiest way to facilitate that was to just fly into the Midwest rather than back to New York and then to the Midwest and back again. Um, Today, also actively as we speak, the Brewers are playing, so I have my hair's blocking it. I have my garb. Uh, Not that I'm invested in sports, but I do like when good things happen in this region.
Yippee.
I
Yes.
said go blue to like three
And
people
and
today. It was great.
Adisaurus, yes, Amelia is using the liminal space between dimensions to move between the Netherlands and the Midwest.
Mhm.
It's
That
actually the
was
only way to
right.
get to Wisconsin.
What are the
Yeah,
Netherlands if not the Midwest of Europe?
a little bit, yeah. No, the liminal space was Detroit Airport, which I had to connect in, which included customs and rechecking my bag and security again in 45 minutes, which somehow I managed. Even though I'm sure you've all noticed this, every time I travel, I'm surrounded by people who are apparently traveling for the first time, including these people who just went through security 8 hours prior, being confused upon seeing security again.
Yes, it every time I've flown Southwest Airlines a few times, and every time I think they've herded together a group of people who not only have never flown, but don't like really understand the concept of an airplane. It
I we
it's
it
always very fun for me because I
I mean, I'm
travel
not
a
sure.
lot.
I'm not sure if Southwest really knows the concept of an airline. I mean, they don't know the concept of an update,
No,
which saved them recently.
they don't.
But
But we got a
True.
question about paleontology.
We do.
yes,
Yeah.
Yes. So this comes from Alice, I think. I think I have pronounced that name right. But please correct me if I have not. Um, who says this is my first time catching a stream? Your channel is great. Thank you.
oh, thank you.
Thank you
I
very
am
much.
both
That's not a
flattered.
question.
I am both flattered and agree. I have two questions. How hard would it be to look for macrofossils from right after a mass extinction? And what are the most important things to know as somebody who's interested in getting into paleontology? Um,
All macrofossils are after a mass extinction of some description.
yes. That's thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. Always helpful.
I think it's hard to find fossils from directly after a mass extinction
Mhm.
because generally mass extinctions are going to be big Earth like kind of system perturbations that really really negatively impact the Earth. And I my feeling is that that's not great for fossil preservation, both because like you may do a lot of physical damage to the planet, but also fossils form rarely. So if you've killed a lot of animals, you are less likely to find fossils because there are fewer dead animals because there were immediately prior to that so many dead animals. So you kind of reduce the crop of things that could become a fossil.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's also important to just point out that I wouldn't say that this is like an actually or anything, but the idea of like right after a mass extinction is a little hard to pin down on everything except the end Cretaceous,
This is also true.
because most
Mhm.
mass extinctions were incredibly gradual ramps up in the amount of death and then slow ramps back down. It's a boiling the frog situation, to use a metaphor that isn't real. Um,
Right.
but it's like everything but the KPG was more gradual like that, and not just a one bad day.
Right. Yes. And I mean, with the KPG, we've got fossils now that probably come from I like there's this flurry of mammals coming out that I think are from like within 100,000 years, which is as geologically as close to right after it as you can get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing is just that it's hard at any given point to like try and get that tight of a temporal constraint on fossils you're looking
Yeah.
for. Like it's much easier to be like, I'm interested in like the late Cretaceous, or I'm interested in the middle Jurassic, and to try and find rocks from all around the world there. But to be like, I'm interested in rocks that are exactly 66 million years old, that preserve fossils, or like 65 in this case, that's just trickier, even beyond the potential Earth systems things that are making it less likely to find fossils anyway, of just being able to find rocks that have fossils in them that are like that precisely attuned to what you're looking for. It's tricky to do that, even if it wasn't for a mass extinction. Say you were like, I really want to know what was happening like 138 million years ago. It's like that's tricky.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of what to know getting into paleontology, I think here are two things. One, admittedly, it's not an easy field to make a career in. We are always transparent about that. Job opportunities are not as plentiful as they are in a lot of other areas. Um, I am not. That is not me trying to be discouraging, because I knew that going in, and I certainly did this on purpose. As I don't think anybody here was misled and thought this was a really abundantly hiring field, right?
Oh no.
But it would be irresponsible for us to not at least mention that, because like it is a reality that you have to be aware of. I generally liken it to if you really want to like be a musician or be in Hollywood, or be an actor or a director or something like that. It can be really hard to make it in that field, especially in terms of what you might think of as like the really big name versions of doing that. But there are always ways to keep, there are different avenues into a professional career in paleontology, and there are ways into pursuing it avocationally if you don't make it your entire career. But I would also say, regardless of that, if you've got a tremendous passion for it, I can't tell you not to try. That was, I would recommend having a backup plan in case, things don't work out, but I was compelled to. I said I have to give this a shot. I love it too much to not try it. And I've been very fortunate. Just the second thing is I don't know. Read a lot. Just you definitely, paleontology is really interdisciplinary, and so I don't know what like stage you're at in your education, and my advice would kind of change depending where you are. Oh, sorry, Scott. Yeah, I didn't mean to
No,
make a joke
no, no,
there.
no, 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 no. I'm just picturing this. Just like, how do just the answer of just like, hey, I want to get into paleontology. How do I get into paleontology? Dr. James Napoli, PhD. Learn how to read.
What I mean is, especially if you're in college now, definitely make an effort to learn basics of different fields of science. You do need to, like, especially if you're answering very complex questions, you need to know some biology, some geology, some chemistry, probably some physics. Not that you're going to necessarily do all of that in your research, and you can certainly have collaborators who help bolster your own weak areas, but like you want to be able to understand those things. Like I can't look at a rock and immediately know the paleo environment that it was deposited in, but I can understand what a geologist tells me about it. In the same way that I can understand what a geochemist is telling me about like isotopes, even though I certainly don't do those analyses on my own. So without more information, that's that's my kind of stock advice, but I think it works well for most people. There are a bunch of other questions, but I realize I've kind of dominated the question. If my friends here have anything they want to add, please feel free to do so before we take other questions.
I just want to add, like, the flip side of reading is writing. Writing is really important if you want to be an academic in this field, because that's basically all you do, really. So it's important. Writing and communication, like being able to get up in front of people and talk about your work, is like the other half of what you do. So those are things that folks don't think about often entering STEM fields. A lot of people are entering STEM or science fields to get away from those things. Surprise, you can't really get away from them. On the job side of things, I wanted to give like a peek into the real life situation. Like James said, it's not worth, not giving it a shot. But you have to be prepared for rejection, because even if you are the best of the best, sometimes it just doesn't work out, because a lot of this field is luck. Who has money, who is hiring, et cetera, et cetera. The peek into reality of that, for example, is I've been applying to jobs for basically 8 months straight and have heard nothing. I'm not unqualified. It's just there's that little available right now in terms of funding and people who have actual positions.
I lost track of how many prep positions I applied to before I got the AMNH one.
Yeah. And like the important part of that is just, it is okay. It is normal. It does not mean you are not good at what you do. This happens to 95% of us. Like, it is okay and normal. It sucks, but it's okay and it's normal. I had another thought, but I forgot what it was. Oh, on the note of like knowing a little bit of everything, a little bit of is just being able to understand other scientists in communication, because it helps you be a better collaborator if you understand what your collaborators are doing. But also, like, for example, like my biggest takeaways from classes outside of paleo, like, for example, organic chemistry was not so much the content, but just the ways of thinking about how to solve problems, because that's a lot of what we do as at least as an academic. You're thinking of how to solve problems, and just having what I found to be valuable from OChem specifically was problem solving skills. So
yeah. Should we briefly take just a moment to get the game started?
I was about to
I think
say.
we should.
we need to start the game, and we need to make our announcements.
We do.
Yes.
Well, yes. Besides the announcement of when Alex's funeral is going to be, because we need to celebrate his several hundred years of life on this planet.
Yes.
Yes. And Gray-Like Goose, we will get to your question. I've seen it, and I have a thought.
Yes. So I've got a recommendation for starting, because I know Amelia had indicated that she doesn't remember some of the rules. Why don't we make it that I think Scott's yellow? We could have Scott, Dalton, we could do Scott, Dalton, James,
Sure.
and then Amelia, so that at the very least there's 3 turns to kind of get back into the groove.
Yes,
That's
and
all.
remind me, I have these 2 gold cards, right?
Yes.
I throw one of them away.
Yes, you
Yes.
pick the one you want to pursue, and you get rid of the other.
Okay. So, and whoop. Oh my God. This is also going to involve me relearning how to use this computer. Where's the throwaway pile?
It's over here. You just put it back in the deck.
Okay. And then, okay, never mind.
Okay. Well, when you're ready, Amelia, I'll take my turn if you guys want to answer Gray-Like Goots' question. Goots,
Yes.
as I said.
Goots.
The Goots.
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 Gray-Like Goots.
Gray-Like Goose has asked, are there positions in paleontology that would work for people that can't really walk much? And the answer is absolutely. People think of paleontology as being field work and going out and digging up fossils, and that is certainly an aspect of it. But the flip side, and really the majority of the work that gets done is the research component. And that really, you're spending a lot of times in museums, looking at specimens. You're spending a lot of time on the computer. It's actually fairly accommodating of people with kind of physical mobility difficulties. There are, sometimes
The Morrison Formation.
Oh, excellent.
One of the several Morrison formations.
There are certainly going to be occasions where you might run into issues, but given that these are usually at kind of like larger institutions, there are often accessibility features and things with accessibility designed in mind. So if you are interested in paleontology and you find yourself with mobility limitations or other kinds of limitations like that, there are many ways that you can be involved and be in the field.
Yes, absolutely. This is, and I just want to emphasize, like, field work is not the main thing we do, and there are many
No.
paleontologists who do, frankly, almost none,
Mm-hmm.
and they have careers. This is not you know this is not a field that is not possible if you have any sort of mobility
I
constraint
mean,
whatsoever.
hell, I have field work as part of my job description. I'm the head of our field work team here at Harvard, and I didn't do any this summer.
Right. No, and I mean, especially if your work is more like comparative or collections based, like you could,
Mhm.
especially with digital data sets, you may not even need to you may never even need to travel quite as
Mhm.
much, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
certainly museum collections are a very easy place to work in. Um, but yes. And now I am going to start, but I also saw a question from King Cosmoceratops that I want to sick Dalton on
Okay.
while I do something.
This is a follow-up from a question I asked about what SPA and in debt mean. I've seen SPP with dinosaurs now. What does this mean? Is there other stuff like SP and CF? And what do those mean? And this is in reference to if you work with specimens and you use like are starting to read the literature and things, you're probably familiar. Almost everyone I'm sure in the chat is familiar with
We
like the
got an
concept
erosion
of.
event, by the way, Dalton.
Already?
Oh wow,
Like,
okay,
yes. So I am going to just pretend I'm at the specimen lab.
okay. Um, but you're almost certainly familiar with like genus and species, like Tyrannosaurus Rex. Sometimes you might see something like Stegosaurus spa or CF Stegosaurus, and what that means is that well we're confident we can identify this to being Stegosaurus, but the spa means we don't know what species it is. Um, CF is I'm sure there's a Latin for it, but I've always taken it as compares favorably. Um, which is just to say like we don't really know exactly what this particular specimen is, but it looks very familiar to something else that's from the same place. So like if you find an isolated, like one toe bone that doesn't have any diagnostic features that would tell you exactly what species is, but you're like, oh, I know this. We're in the Hell Creek and it's a hadrosaur. You'd be like, this is CF Edmontosaurus. Unless it really didn't look like Edmontosaurus, then you might say like Hadrosauridae in debt, which in debt is indeterminate.
Right.
As far as SPP versus SP, I'm actually not sure if there's a distinction or if that's just kind of a stylistic thing.
That's when you are referring to multiple species in the genus.
Yeah, it's like when you say like P period for page, but PP for pages.
I see. Okay.
And I have heard
I
it
actually
read
didn't know that was a thing.
verbally as spuppa, which I really like quite a bit.
Spuppa.
I've heard that.
Right. They're spuppa.
I'm going
Speaking
to...
of which, Isaac B has asked for an opinion from an authentic Italian specimen, which is favorite pizza type. I'm pretty simple. New York style, just cheese and tomato sauce, and maybe a little bit of oregano sprinkled onto it. A little bit of red pepper flake, but that's all seasoning. But just a nice, classic New York style cheese slice is great. I like a lot of different preparations of pizza and everything, but that is my favorite if I had to choose one.
My go-to whenever I'm trying out a new place is I really like to try out their margarita at first because that is the make or break of can you make a good pizza.
Oh, we forgot to I forgot to reshuffle
Reshuffle.
all these things, but so
Please
these
also
go in and now it's reshuffled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, oh yeah, I guess I can shake it. I just hit R. Watch.
I like to violently shake the card deck.
Scott, I bumped you by the way out of the library.
I see question for James. Can you talk about T. macraensis yet? And while I'm going to keep comments on taxonomy or on Tyrannosaur research in general fairly minor because my stuff isn't published yet.
To an appropriate minimum.
To an appropriate minimum, right. I don't really have a strong opinion. It's a little weird for a T-Rex, so I'm not hostile to the idea that it's a distinct taxon, but I think like we definitely need more fossil material, and I would like to see the specimen before I form a more firm opinion on what it is. I think the case for it being distinct is not watertight, but is pretty well presented. Right. It's not the kind of thing where I see it and I'm like, there's no way, but it's also not something where I say, oh, there's no way this is different. It it could be either way.
Okay, we're in between questions.
Yes.
We want to do our announcements because also we've hit over 100 viewers.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Why don't
Thanks
you
for
make the
joining,
announcement
everyone.
and I'll
Fast.
actually take my turn that I forgot to take.
Okay, well, we have 2 announcements. I'll make the first one
Yes.
because I was more or less in charge of this one. So, first announcement, we will have 2 new designs in our Etsy shop that they will be stickers. Scott did one of them. I did the other one. They're going to start as stickers in the Etsy shop, and that'll start on Monday because I am in the void, so I do not have them with me as they were shipped to New York. The first of them that Scott designed, I need to pull up on my phone, which is where I'm... Wow, and I pulled up the wrong folder.
I will just say, as Amelia's pulling this up, if you guys want to hear the story behind why I did this, I will happily tell it. It is one of the funniest paleo stories I've heard in a minute.
Isn't it in our... This is in the video, right?
No, this wasn't in the video. This was information I learned. No, this isn't cut. I don't think.
I thought this was in the video. Okay.
No. This is information I learned a month ago.
Oh, I thought this was in Memenchisaurus. Like, I thought we talked about...
No.
Okay, well, okay, then continue with your backstory.
Well, I'll give the backstory after we see the thing.
Okay, you ready? Okay, again, I apologize. This will be tiny.
I was filling space.
Oh, that's okay. I apologize that it will be tiny on the screen because streaming is complicated and we could not prep this so that we could show it on the screen. But it is here. It says physically and mentally bad. Let me give it. There we go. And it is a sauropod that is mounted wrong.
Big old Diplodocus dragging its belly and stuff. So basically, the story behind this abomination is this was a reconstruction of Diplodocus that was made by Tournier, who is a German paleontologist.
And Amelia, while Scott tells the story, it is your turn.
And basically, to make a long story short, this is back when the Carnegie Diplodocus was getting mounted. And I want to say, I cannot take credit for being the one to stumble upon this story. This was a talk that was given by one of my colleagues at Harvard. We have these Thursday happy nerd lunch hour talks where we give these informal talks on random topics and stuff, and he gave one in the history of the Carnegie Diplodocus. So that would be Robert Higgins, and it was way funnier and goofier than I thought it would be, and namely, it was because of this. So after the Carnegie Diplodocus was mounted, this guy by the name of Tournier wrote up this paper that basically just absolutely roasted it and essentially accused the Carnegie of doing scientific misconduct for profit, and basically said that, like, hey, the only reason why they mounted it with the neck like kind of sub-horizontal like that was so it would be, the bones would be closer to guests. So also, long story short, not the Skeleton Crew's style. Hey,
Are they wrong?
correct. So it was like
Skeleton Crew, short story long.
a short story long. But so the bones of the neck would be closer to guests, so they would be more wowed by it, so they would pay more money to see it. And so this other guy, whose name escapes me at the moment, wrote up a rebuttal paper to it that is the meanest, cattiest, pettiest thing I have ever read as a piece of proper scientific writing, and includes the phrase of call. So an important thing. Tournier said that this Diplodocus, like, mounted with its belly like dragging like below the ground and its legs sprawled out to the side and its neck swanning up like that, would be the proper way to mount any sauropod, and they would know so if they weren't being awful evil capitalists about it. And so this other guy wrote up a paper, and I do realize it's my turn. I'm gonna take it quick because I'm just doing a recall. And it is amazing. He and the physically and mentally bad is a direct quote from the paper, which is wild. Um, I don't believe that is the case, Dom, because I believe that this paper was written like 100 years ago. So I don't believe that this man is still with us.
Amelia, you're up.
Um,
Oh, already. Well, how many points do I, or how many white blocks do I get for bringing my guys back?
just one
one.
with no upgrades.
Okay, so just even though it's bringing both of them back, I only get
Yes, it's one
Okay.
every time.
Yep.
one. Okay.
But yeah, it's in current director at the time. Yes, it might have been it was the current director of the Carnegie Museum that wrote this up. It's so funny. It includes phrases like it's like this. It was like this man looked at what we did and picking up a pencil, the favorite tool of the closet naturalist, and with apparently the skeleton of a monitor lizard and a chameleon before him, sketched out whatever came into his mind, and it's so funny. And I was immediately struck by inspiration to make this design. It sprang fully formed from my forehead like Athena. It's so funny, and I'm also going to publish.
Already.
And yeah, indeed, already, because apparently it's so easy. And well, it's especially so easy that like I'm going to be invoking one of our colleagues here, and I am going to be publishing on Ornitholestes.
Man,
Hot dog.
I can't wait for papers on that to come out eventually.
Well, I'm also going to publish. I'm
look at that.
I'm bumping you. Bumping that.
Oh,
Sky.
I stole you.
Amelia, could you show I think we got a few new people. Could you just show the physically and mentally bad sticker again?
Yep. That, and then I will address, there are some questions that I will address.
I'll see if I can pull up the paper as well so I can read some choice quotes from it if people are curious.
Hey! Tawa.
Thank you, Wyatt Ripley.
Thank you very much.
Rippy.
Hey! Why does James call Teratophonius Tyrannophonius? Is he stupid or am I stupid? Listen, I hate to say this, but I think you might be. I've never said that. And if I have in a video, we record many of our videos between 11 p.m. and like 2 a.m., so it might have been my voice slurring with exhaustion.
Tyrannophonius.
But that does remind me that it would be valid to name something that if I wanted to be annoying. That's very funny, though. Thank you, Wyatt.
Before we get to the second sticker, I want to address, there are a couple things in the chat I just want to double check here. So to clarify, the new stickers will be on Etsy. The designs may or may not appear on Redbubble as non-sticker things. We haven't actually had a discussion about that yet. But the Etsy ones should go live on Monday when I return to New York. Someone asked about Spinosaurus skulls on a t-shirt. We do have Suchomimus in the Redbubble shop, I believe. Because I think we got to that one pretty early. And that was before the dissertation seized my life. And I haven't been able to do as much artwork. However, a piece of artwork that I was able to do is the second sticker design.
Good segue.
This one took up a day. But I like it a lot. And this one it'll be a round sticker. The design is a square, but it'll be round. And it'll be another holographic one. And I try to center it on my thing. There we go. Again, hopefully you can see. We've got a lot of grids happening. We've got some Sunset Mountain things. We've got a glowing Triceratops. We've got two fonts, folks. I'm a known hater of multiple fonts. Usually, but I think it works here. And we've got fun cycads happening in the background. This is the design that in part inspired me to cave and buy a new computer because my laptop did not like processing, rendering rather, this image because it has lots of fun effects in Photoshop. Oh my God. Thank you all for your kind words. It just
Let's go.
So as a reminder, someone has asked, we will release these on the Etsy shop on Monday, and I will at some point write a community post about that. The only reason again being that I'm currently not in New York, which is where the stickers are. And they arrived after I left for Maastricht, so I didn't have time to take some with me here. It is in part inspired by Eustreptospondylus, but actually it was primarily spurred, similar to Scott. It just kind of appeared in my head. The SVP meeting logo this year is very inspired and on a similar level of kind of silly purple vibes because it's in Minneapolis this year. Yeah, so I'm excited. We're both excited. We put a lot of work into these, and I think they turned out really great.
Yeah,
they did.
And let this be kind of a foreshadowing of we might have some changes coming on the merch front.
Oh yeah.
In the near future, we need to have a full meeting about it still, but we've had discussions about some changes. So
yes,
yeah,
yes, there might be changes. Change is going to come, perhaps. We will decide that eventually.
But now,
it's your turn, Amelia.
It's my turn, so you can make the other announcement, is what I was going to say.
Oh, yes, the other announcement. So we are delighted to announce that we have been chosen. Selected, one might say.
Drafted.
Honored, one might also say. To get early access keys to the new DLC that's coming out for Paleopines. And we actually, before streaming, recorded a video that hey, Touch Connors has just tipped $10 on PayPal.
Let's go.
Thank
you. And that made there be a Quetzalcoatlus honk, which I had forgotten about, and it started greatly.
And thank you, Cody Bishop, for your super chat, which we will get to after the announcement.
Yeah, so the new DLC is very cool. I don't think we're allowed to say very much about it right now, but I really enjoyed playing around with it. So we're going to have a video coming up pretty soon to coincide with the break of the media embargo on that stuff.
I mean, the theme of it has been...
Oh, it has. Okay,
I haven't like, that's on Twitter. Like, the trailer for it's on Twitter. Like, the pumpkins that are in our thumbnail are a screenshot from the trailer. So it's a Halloween-themed DLC.
Yes, it's
very quick interruption. When I draw specimen cards, do I need to throw away one that I drew, or can I throw away just any one?
Any.
Oh, I forgot to throw away one at all, which...
Oh my God. I need to apologize on camera to my friend and colleague, Clint Boyd, for throwing out Thescalosaurus.
Rip.
Into the pile.
Clint, if you're here, leave the chat. And if you subscribe,
he's been here before, hasn't he?
Yes, that's why I said it. There's a non-zero chance he's here.
No, I think he's in the field. I was just talking to him yesterday, and I think he's in the field right now. So I think
Clint, if you're in chat, donate $5, then leave the chat.
Yes, please.
And Cliff, if you're here, we don't know who you are.
Okay.
So yeah, I and the reason there's a big special announcement is A, like it's exciting and we're gonna have a new video coming out. But B, it's really cool because this is one of the first times that we've gotten like this kind of advanced content as content creators, and I think that this really speaks to how we've grown as a platform and a channel and a community, and we want to thank all of you guys for that because we could make videos, but we could not be a community and could not be what we are without our viewers, and you guys are just amazing. Thank you so much for your support. I will speak for myself when I say you bring us quite a lot of happiness and fulfillment, and I find this a really rewarding thing. So thank you so much.
I'm going to Texas. I'm going to Copper Canyon.
Hot dog. Now, we've had a lot of questions, and we're going to do our best to get to them all. We'll start. I'm going to scroll back up to Cody Bishop, who super chatted, and thank you again very much for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Cody asks, I know you guys specialize in dinos, but does the study of early man interest any of you? I find it highly fascinating how we evolved. I'll start with a perhaps disappointing answer. I think it's very interesting, but it is not something I've ever wanted to pursue in terms of in any kind of a research capacity. I just don't find it that interesting.
We are doing such a wonderful job with our audience. One of the people has asked a question, "Am I stupid?" And I said yes. And then I get a question, "Do you find this interesting?" And Dalton's like, "No, I don't."
Well, other members of the crew might. So take it away.
It's possible. It's entirely possible. And oh, I'm getting a note that my mic is a little low compared to the others, and I'm looking at my levels now and seeing that's the case. So I'm just going to bump it back up.
He's bumping that.
And hopefully that will help a little bit. It's still not as high as I would have liked. Let me see if I could actually. Well, let's hope that helps.
I went to the Nugget Sandstone.
He has.
I will say that I find human evolution interesting, but like Dalton said, not in an academic sense, but that's at least partially driven by the fact that I've only heard bad things about academia in human evolution. But like I like to watch documentaries about it. I'm more interested in specifically like development of like agriculture and domestication of animals and plants. Like I think that's fascinating. But
and
otherwise not really.
I find a lot of like the develop I it's kind of interesting. I find a lot of the stuff that's really early and then the stuff that's really that's more recent as the most interesting. Things like exactly how like hominins started to become more bipedal and all that sort of stuff. I find that really interesting. And then like Amelia said, like domestication and like human interactions with animals more recently, I find super cool. There's a guy on Instagram and TikTok that I follow, ethnocynology, that talks about like the coevolution of dogs and people and how we've both changed each other. And I find his stuff so cool. Every time he comes up on my page, I always stick around and watch for a little while.
I'll just say now, I like paleoanthropology. I find it interesting, and I try to.
Like...
Yeah, no, I know. I'm joking a little bit. I just I find it interesting. There was a time where I thought I wanted to go into it. What I do find interesting is a lot of the questions I've tried to address in my research are things that the paleoanth community has also addressed, and so I find it very interesting to read a lot of papers there because, you know, they're different fossil records and we've often come to different conclusions about how to handle things, but there is a lot of kind of just intellectually very interesting stuff to read in that literature. And also, coincidentally, a lot of methods we use for like more dinosaur-specific paleo were usually pioneered there. So a lot of the seminal papers that we cite actually come from there because the human ancestor fossil record is kind of so poor that, in my experience, the paleoanth community is usually way ahead of the game in trying to figure out new ways to do science because they kind of have to first. And then it usually filters into dinosaurs. So like geometric morphometrics is now everywhere. And that like effectively started in the paleoanth world to study primate evolution.
And I want to clarify, like our department of paleoanth people at the AMNH is wonderful. Like they're fantastic. They're so fun to hang out with.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, I went to the wrong place. I'm publishing. Drum roll, please. For 3 white and 4. I'm sorry, 4 white and 4 green. I cannot count.
It's a big boy.
I have
oh my god, it's T-Rex. Well,
the biggest boy.
Good thing Tawa is more interesting.
I know, but this is my first time ever drawing the T-Rex card in this game, and you dealt it to me in the first hand.
Appropriate. Only slightly more interesting than Ornitholestes.
Only slightly. And I can pass the turn around. I'm going to move Penty up.
Okay.
Oh no, I moved him up too far.
How dare you?
How dare.
Not doing anything interesting. I'm just pulling people back, grabbing up, stealing more than 1 cube.
We had another question. King Cosmoceratops who asked, do you know if there's anything else along the lines of SPA, Indet, CF, SPP with extra things related to dinosaur names that I don't know? They said, sorry if I'm being annoying, and I'm only reading that to clarify that you're not being annoying at all. The chat moves quickly, so if you do have a question and it doesn't get answered, don't be afraid to ask it again. That's okay.
Some of us are illiterate, mostly me.
I can't think of a tremendous amount.
There's one that might come up, which is what you'll see in the systematic paleo section a lot of the time, which is gen et spa nov, like gen dot et sp dot
Oh,
nov
yeah.
dot. And that is an abbreviation of the Latin, which would be genus et species novum, or novum, if you pronounce it the way the Romans did, which literally just means new genus and species. And that is...
I've actually always been curious about what that meant.
Yes, and
You didn't read Jormungandr Walhalensis Gen et spa nov?
or curricula.
Listen, I skimmed them.
Okay. Aggressively skimmed. So
no, that's fair. They're long.
I more or less knew what happened. I had gotten an insight on the plot.
He got spoilers. So I'm recalling my gentleman. You have to add this because one of the provisions of the ICCN that is kind of interesting, and I don't think this is a problematic rule, is they do mandate you make it clear when you're naming a taxon, because there are a lot of older things that don't. So it'll just be in the middle of a paragraph. They'll just say like, okay, and we're going to call these remains this. The reason that like systematic paleontology sections exist, or one of the reasons, is that you need to make it extremely explicit in your paper. I am naming a new species. And so the customary way to do that is to indicate after its name in the systematic paleo section of your paper, either gen et spa nov, or sometimes just the words new taxon, to make it abundantly clear I'm naming a new thing right now.
Which is what I am doing with my 6 white cubes and 2 blue cubes.
Hey.
I named this bird that I don't know.
Calibopteryx.
Kachibopteryx.
Good name.
Little flying rat man. Speaking
I like him.
Rats.
So we got a few questions. One from our good friend Chris. Did you hear about the new paper describing evidence for the Earth having a ring back in the Ordovician? Yes, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It's so cool, and I love that.
It's so cool.
The second thing I saw after Alex, no, it was Dalton put that paper in the chat, was I opened Twitter and I saw art of that Beetle Moses comic.
Oh yeah,
with the anglerfish on the shore marveling at the sunset of just the Sacabam Baptist on the shore looking at the rings. It's so beautiful. I never would have known.
It's so cool.
It's incredibly cool.
We also got a question that I know I saw much earlier, so I'm going to try to get through these before it's my turn in order of when they came in.
I'm so sorry, James. It's about to be your turn right now.
No, Dalton's next.
Oh, no. Okay.
So do you have any advice for somebody looking to get into producing proper paleo art and scientific illustrations? That's not really like our immediate area. I mean, from what I have seen, producing art and practicing and making and sharing your art so that people know about you is probably the most direct thing you could do.
Well, I mean, if you mean proper scientific illustration and paleo art in that sense, you can go to school for scientific illustration.
And I was going to recommend you should go to school for scientific illustration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is amazing what a really, really well-trained illustrator can do. It is, and there are specialized programs, and so if you're really kind of dead set on it, it's not a bad thing to do. There are also a lot of careers for scientific illustration in medicine, because medical illustrators are a really important part of medical research teams. And so you may not always be able to find an opportunity where you're literally paid to draw like fossil bones, but that's a pretty transferable skill set.
I want to call out our friend of the channel, Henry Sharp. I think one of his parents is a scientific illustrator, right?
I believe his dad.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like that's kind of part of the Henry lore, and the reason he is able to do what he does. If you're unfamiliar, look him up. Like he really
very good.
He's really good. But he's done a couple diagrams that actually do like the muscles and stuff, like interior view of these things. That's just kind of, it's very different stylistically from most like paleo art. that you see, because that's part of his background, is like he's been around that for all his life, which, you know, it really makes a difference. And my like advice beyond going to school obviously would be to study art and anatomy as you would anything else. I feel this is a personal thought, but I think what separates like paleo art that is good from paleo art that, like, I don't know, stops me in my tracks, is folks that have that background of, informally or formally, because art is one of those fields that you really, you know, there's multiple ways to get into it as a career. But you can really tell a difference between folks that have studied anatomy in the art sense versus not. Yeah, and that unfortunately involves studying human anatomy, because that's primary reference for folks drawing. But even that is transferable to animals. But there's also plenty of references for animals that you can then. It's harder for reptiles, but you know.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, similarly, I feel that anecdotally, not as an artist myself, that
Amelia,
a lot of the best paleo art comes from people who have, and I don't want to say classically trained in like a ivory tower sense, but just in a sense that they're like not only learning like the dinosaur anatomy or the you know the prehistoric animal anatomy, which is important for producing paleo art, but also just the like classic art techniques of, you know, how do I render this kind of material? What kind of backgrounds? What kind of composition? What's the lighting like? Like those are all, you know, less directly paleo things, but they're extremely important for producing like the paleo art that I find that makes me go, wow.
Yeah.
And if you want to do art as a career, I think having that in your back pocket, like having that background, will set you up to do other kinds of art. Because I think, again, not speaking from experience, like just exclusively pursuing paleo art as a hobby, great, love it. As a career, I think you're going to want to have more avenues to try and reach out to get money.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I think to kind of the point that Dalton and Amelia have made, like,
why did I do that? I'm not going to do that.
You did something bad.
I did something bad.
One of my favorite paleo artists is James Gurney. And
Oh,
James Gurney is not a paleo artist.
Nope. No.
Right. I mean, James Gurney has done a tremendous amount of paleo art, but James Gurney is a really, really talented artist first and foremost. Like when you are that well practiced and well trained with art, you can probably portray almost any subject really convincingly. James Gurney also really understands dinosaur anatomy well, so he can render it very well. But
and that was kind of the point I was getting at, is if you like, most of art is just understanding how to portray objects in whatever style you want to. It doesn't really matter what the objects are, because you can be portraying them in different ways. I'm trying to this is not getting my thoughts out well, but like for drawing dinosaurs, like it's not always necessarily the most important thing that you're portraying all the muscles correctly, but maybe you want to portray a sense of scale or a sense of drama or something like that. And if you understand general art techniques more broadly, it doesn't matter if you have the muscles right, the anatomy right, if you understand how to portray the scene that you want in the way that you want.
Right.
Exactly.
Complete agreement. I've just withdrawn my man. And Amelia, here you go. Now, there was a question I saw come in that I wanted to make sure we addressed, and I can't scroll up in the chat for reasons that are unclear to me.
Was it the one about what country you live in?
Yes.
I'm looking at it right now. That was the next one I was going to bring up, which was Dino Dan asked, does the country you live in play a role when pursuing paleontology?
Yeah.
Like Scott, just yes.
Yep.
It does.
It does, but that doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah. It's a yes and no thing. It's not as if like, you know, it's not as if, oh, I'm going to be restricted to only studying fossils that are found in the country I live in. That's less of the restriction and more what opportunities are available, what institutions are there, what kind of support is there for students.
I mean, like, hell, our James and my biological mother, Emmanuel Chop, the sauropod worker, is a good example of you don't need to. Also, for a point on here, hi, my actual mother, who I know is watching this channel. Hello.
Hello.
She's been texting me.
Oh.
Hi. And so Emmanuel Chop, who better known to you guys probably as the guy who brought Brontosaurus back, he studied in over yonder in Europe, and happened to work at a museum that was full of Morrison formation dinosaurs. So those are not from there, but he managed to work on a bunch of them, and that's what he was able to focus his studies on. So that is not necessarily the biggest like bottleneck or whatever.
Right. I mean, usually if there are differences in how you approach paleo, the main thing is going to be what kind of funding or support is available for the sciences, and then what's the relationship, like how are fossils considered to be owned? Can they be privately owned in your country? Are they possession of the government? Is there any rule at all? You know, there's all sorts of legal frameworks.
I want to clarify, because people think I was laughing at something that was said, and I don't think that was the case. That there was something interpreted as a shade. I don't actually remember what I was laughing about. Yes, it was only about a minute ago, but I've had a very long series of days. I mean no shade on my fellow crew members.
Ooh, eggs
With
an
an
Albertosaurus.
Oh.
Hey, look at that.
And we get our first upgrade.
Upgrade.
Upgrades. People upgrades.
Side note, we had another super chat.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes,
which
we
was
did.
Fun.
Thank you. I'm waiting for the second half of the message to come in, because I see it's
so
1
I'll
out of
read
2.
it. So, oh wait. Oh yeah, good point.
Yes.
Yeah, so we will get to you, Riley Berry, excuse me.
I've bumped this gray fellow.
What's the rest of the
return?
Oh, I've been bumped. Oh my gosh.
There's the, oh my gosh.
Oh,
Hi.
Riley.
Jesus. Okay, so Riley Berry for part 1
and 4. I'm publishing Penty.
Hooray!
Oh wow.
So Riley Berry for part 1. So this might be kind of stupid. I don't know. But before you guys actually re-sparked my interest in dinosaurs, I had this theory about T-Rex when I was 12. The theory I had was to avoid fighting when feeding together. T-Rex would take like an iguanodon leg and use its arms to hold it like a dog holding a bone, and it could gnaw on it and clean its teeth. Plausible, maybe?
And Amelia, you're up. As the T-Rex expert, should I take this?
Yes, as the T-Rex expert, you should take that.
It's an interesting idea. I think, well, I mean, so to be very pedantic, probably not an iguanodon, because iguanodon lived long before T-Rex, but, you know, replace it with a hadrosaur leg to answer the question. I think that this is going to depend a little bit on the position of the shoulders of T-Rex, which is not as clear as you might think. Dinosaur shoulders are kind of hard to place on the ribs because they don't like directly connect to the bones of the axial skeleton, not like the pelvis does. So it's going to depend where that is, and therefore where the arms are. My instinct is probably that the arms are too short, because I don't think the neck was flexible enough to kind of get down to arm level. So maybe not for Rex itself, but I could imagine this for other tyrannosaurs that might be built a little bit differently.
Built different,
so to say. But thank you so much for submitting your question.
Although, also, I guess, James, you can also chime in here if this is a wrong-headed answer. Cleaning their teeth would be less of a consideration for a T-Rex because they'll just shed them.
This is true. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, yes. I forgot about right. I didn't even think about that part of it. Yeah. The fact that the teeth would be shed
Amelia,
so
you seem to have
frequently,
lost a die underneath the field.
It would certainly mean that there would be less of an emphasis on keeping them clean at any one point. Yeah.
I wish I could just tactically reload my mouth.
And by the way, yes, I am the one writing in chat as the skeleton crew, because I'm the one logged into the account right now to run the stream.
I am the one who logs.
Yes. So yes, I was the one who cast shade at Scott in the chat.
Okay.
As James is wont to do.
Yes.
I laughed, and I genuinely don't remember why. So I thought it was related to that because
Well, while I'm taking a turn here, Cody Bishop sent us a super chat of you guys ever play The Last of Us? What do you think? I played The Last of Us and I absolutely love it. I also completely and totally love The Last of Us 2. I think it is a phenomenal, phenomenal game with a great story, and I'm bumping Dr. Jimbo here. I still kind of think about The Last of Us Part 2 every couple months because like wow, I love it so much. And now I'm going to, after making an inflammatory comment like I really like the story of The Last of Us 2, I'm going to make even more friends by publishing on one of my friends'
no.
children here. Well, not necessarily
wait.
direct children, but I have Tylosaurus now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's my current.
It's your current child.
That is. Have we had this one before? I don't remember seeing that.
I
we
don't know
have.
this come up.
Okay, well, I just don't pay attention.
Now,
what am I gonna do?
I did see something. Oh, AJ the Sleepy asks, how much money does one have to donate to the crew to get a new taxon named after them? Is there a patron tier for that? The answer is a lot.
The answer is we joked about it when we first started making
We did.
the channel.
Yes, I think I was like, can we make a $100,000 a month tier or something like that, where we name something after you? There is no tier, unfortunately, but yes, if you want to be a benefactor and sponsor multiple years of one of our research programs, go right ahead.
Welcome, Sacklersaurus.
No, that's the one I won't name. One of a
If
few
I
I
could
wouldn't
pay
name.
off my student debt, that'd be great. Alas.
We're gonna go.
Kevin Preem asks, so Sun and Bone came out. Video when?
Wait, what?
honestly,
I didn't know this before.
It did come out.
just like this week.
If I hold with the right and left mouse button, it just drags my guy across the surface.
You can just. I really wish you could. Oh, James is
sorry, I don't
causing a
remember
problem
where
on
everybody
purpose,
was.
as usual.
I was here. Oh, whoops.
Oh.
But yeah, so Sun and Bone came out. Video when? Honestly, I think at least me personally, I was really hoping that it would come out for PC so we could have an easier time
Yes, that's the big
streaming
issue.
it because we need special equipment to stream
I'm going to the Sundance formation.
to play it on a PlayStation.
We don't have any capture cards.
That's 4.
Rip
I
Sun and
also Kevin Preem asked, do you think The Last of Us Part 2 could have a better story? Honestly, no. I think it's phenomenal, and I think it's basically perfect the way it is, if I'm being honest. I love how it works out.
And Amelia, you are up. And before I forget, I'm going to draw my trace fossil.
And Dino Dan asks, do you guys know if Germany is a good location to get into paleontology? It absolutely is.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
it's one of the best.
It's a tremendous place to do it. Lots of great fossils, lots of great institutions with people studying those fossils. I know a number of paleontologists who studied in Germany.
And let's see. Crew, thoughts on Arcane? Are you excited for season 2? I think I watched that trailer like 4 times.
I'm so excited.
I'm so pumped for that show.
It's an amazing show.
The only bad thing that I can say about Arcane is that it might convince some people that it's an okay idea to play League of Legends.
So. We got a question that I think Amelia can answer. Do any of you speak any other languages?
I think it's just me.
It is, yeah.
It's just me. Yes. I speak German fluently, a little less than fluently nowadays because I haven't had a chance or a reason to speak it. But here in Milwaukee, we have some elementary schools. They're public schools that are language immersion schools. There's 3 of them. There's French, German, and Spanish. I went to the German one. And then there's a 6 through 12 called Milwaukee School of Languages that is set up to take those students so that basically by the time you get to college, you test out of every language class that they give you. And yeah, It came in handy actually in Maastricht because Dutch is at least written out very similar to German, so I can read it kind of, sort of, and get a sense of what's happening. However, they pronounce everything very differently, so when it's spoken to me, I don't know what's happening.
Were you
But a
having
lot
any
of it is
serious
kind
problem?
of, huh?
So were you having a serious problem?
I was having no, I was having a great time because some of it is silly and like I don't like actually want to make fun of a language, but I took a train from Amsterdam airport to Maastricht, and the name of the Wi-Fi network on the train was Wi-Fi in the train, and it was so my mind. I had been up for like 24 hours because I cannot sleep on vehicles. I was losing my entire mind. And then my friend who met me later, friend of the channel, Kirsten Formosa, another mosasaur paleontologist, later when she was taking the train, sent me the screenshot of the same thing. So, yeah.
Ooh, there was also a question earlier of Last of Us 2 or Red Dead 2. James and I have such a deep love for Red Dead Redemption 2.
I think they could have just stopped making new video games after that.
It's like we finished.
Right, that we did it. We're good. I love Red Dead 2. My greatest like regret in life is just that Red Dead 2 online is not very good, because if it were engaging, it would probably be all I play.
It's where I learned how to play poker.
Really?
Red Dead?
It was Red Dead 2 online.
Hilarious.
Wow. Yeah. Now I see a comment.
Yeah? Oh,
Just
okay.
curious if you, by the way, Amelia, you're up. Curious if you could make a dinosaur zoo, would you build a safari style zoo like the San Diego Safari Park, or would you build it more like a traditional zoo? We're probably going to be discussing this in future videos at some point.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
To give you a little preview, mine would be effectively a bite-proof just car that you could drive around in. I don't know. It would be effectively a bunker. It would be a military installation. Not because it's actually important, but because it would look cool.
Regular zoo, pit world. Many people know
Dalton's Pit World.
Dalton's pit world. Put the dinosaurs in holes. Keep people from falling in the holes.
Put the dinosaurs back in the ground where they belong.
I don't see a way of doing a safari style without it being extraordinarily dangerous.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it would be impossible. But yes, we'll talk about this in detail when we make content about a different game.
Indeed.
Yes, we've also gotten a few comments about what would we want for Jurassic World Evolution 3. And,
Yes.
Right now, I want it to not exist. We have made over 80 episodes of a series about Jurassic World Evolution 2, and I need like a couple of weeks to not think about this game. My heart sank when they announced the sequel. And I'm sure it's going to be great. And what I'd probably want more is like just more dinosaurs and more like diversity of how you can build your parks.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true, CJ Moulton. I should think of the money. I should think of the money.
Yeah. I would want like better terrain tools, better, like more customizable lagoons and aviaries.
I'd like a way to make like kind of modular partial habitat things. Like if there's a way to make like a kind of old Zoo Tycoon style of like make a terrestrial enclosure that goes into a lagoon, so you could get more semi-aquatic dudes, or get like underwater viewing sort of stuff. Basically, it is kind of funny that like my list of wishes for Jurassic World Evolution 3 is basically make it prehistoric kingdom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I also like genuinely, if they just made it Evolution 2, but the sauropods can fight back, game of the year.
Okay, to interrupt.
Mhm.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me check. I see. Okay. I don't think I've seen Jurassic Swine in the chat, which is sad because I'm publishing Alamosaurus.
Oh my
true.
god.
Oh my gosh. Well, everyone,
How many? What is that? I need all 4 of my green cubes.
All 4.
raise your sprites for Jurassic Swine.
Yes. Oh, speaking of carbonated beverages, I've got
Oh,
more
God.
of my own homemade seltzer to drink. I don't have Topo Chico,
I don't.
unfortunately.
I really don't like you calling it homemade seltzer because that makes it sound like something
It
illegal.
makes it sound bad.
Oh yeah,
Bottle
no,
of the source.
does it? Okay, it's from a machine that carbonates the water.
No,
That's
I
it.
know. It's just funny. This is my homemade seltzer.
Is Jurassic Swine dead like Alex? I sure
No.
hope not.
No, to
That'd
give
be
some
horrible.
context, the reason everyone is asking who's dead. Oh shit! Sorry. Oh, pardon my French.
I thought you spoke German.
Scheiße. Okay. I would like to publish this this thing with some tracks,
Oh, cool.
which I just need to add an extra color cube.
It needs to be of the same color that you
No.
published it.
Okay.
It needs to be an
I
extra green one.
No, I don't have any more green ones. Okay, never mind. He's trackless in Triaddle.
Rip.
Yeah, one thing I see from Alice, I think, more so semi-aquatic
Get
creatures would be
bumped,
great.
idiot.
More complex animal behavior would be great. I would love it to actually feel like it's really hard to run the park. Like the one thing
Yeah.
I really liked in Jurassic World Evolution 2 was how dicey a lot of the challenge modes could get.
Mhm.
Like it could be really hard. What I didn't like was that it often felt like there was just a correct sequence you had to build things in, and if you deviated at all, you lost. What I would like is that it's much harder to keep a large zoo with many animals in it, like, secure. Not that I think that would be a huge concern in a real Jurassic Park, but I think that really fits with the it fits with the franchise very well,
Yes.
right?
I'm publishing Coelophysis and
Hot
some
dog.
crap.
I like how at first it was like, I'm publishing a coprolite also with some coelophysis.
The way I put it is it's like Coelophysis was in the coprolite.
Mm.
Something ate this.
Who was the coprolite?
Something happened. I'm trying to think of other like honestly, yeah, more complex and like interesting behaviors. Like I would love to see honestly like more social behaviors with dinosaurs and interspecies social behaviors. Like I think that it would be super cool if like small pterosaurs could land on the plates of stegosaurs and stuff and walk around on there or on the backs of large sauropods and stuff.
That would be cool.
Um,
And you know what else is cool?
what else is cool?
This holotype I'm publishing.
Yeah.
Is it cool?
I think so. Because its name kind of invokes potatoes. I'm playing Terminotator.
Terminonatator? Oh my god.
Termininator. Natator.
Too
It's
many syllables.
A lot of syllables in that name.
it's one I
want
hate
my
saying
grad
it. I love what it means.
Yeah.
It's the final swimmer.
All right, Dalton, I have to bump you.
Fair enough.
I want a graduate student, and a graduate student I shall receive.
Oh yeah, also walking pterosaurs.
Yes, that would be
Oh,
great.
I get a
yeah.
grad student now.
I used 3 whites and 3 blues to get Martiasaurus.
Ole mole.
Oh, he be Martian.
And as a bonus with Martiasaurus, you may notice there are gastroliths, which would argue for a radical new interpretation of Martiasaurus. But
And possibly also gastroliths.
right.
How how does the grad student happen again?
Once you publish 3 holotypes.
3 holotypes.
Throlotypes.
Throlotypes.
Holotypes.
Valhalla types.
There was a question, and I apologize. I'll try and scroll up to see who asked it, but I might not be able to find it. But someone asked what our thoughts are on adding Paleozoic and Cenozoic creatures to the roster in Jurassic World. My opinion is that I welcome Paleozoics. I do not want Cenozoics. Megalodon notwithstanding.
And
I
even
think
Megalodon to me
Megalodon's
feels a little bit weird.
You and
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a cool animal. Of all the things in the Cenozoic to put in, that's probably the right one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's got to feel older. Like
I have
even a woolly mammoth is just going to feel like an elephant.
I have a counterpoint.
Sure.
Basilosaurus.
Yeah, that would be cool. I
Could
guess
also be
like
cool.
They're
Yeah.
so weird. Like anything, I think
Yeah.
I'm open to anything that's like really weird or out there. Like I think it'd be fun. But also I'm not opposed to mammoths and fun deers and other things. Like
See, I think we need to go back to original Zoo Tycoon and have the prehistoric animals bring up ethical quandaries, like having a caveman.
Right.
that's so funny.
Amelia,
I
go
love
ahead.
that.
There is
It's
the
just like, oh,
the Australopithecus mod that is just horrible to look at.
No, that's no.
For me, it's
disturbs
just
me.
like Jurassic Park just doesn't feel like it should have Cenozoic animals in it.
it really
don't know
doesn't.
why,
It's called
it just
Jurassic World. It's called Jurassic Park. Oh, what are we playing? We're playing Holotype.
Yes, it's a very good board game.
But I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, I'm pretty
Wait,
hard
Amelia,
against
how are you doing
the
that?
Senate
Oh, you
stuff.
forgot to move the guy.
I forgot to move the guy, don't worry.
I was like, she's just stealing fossils from the library.
These are mine.
Oh, I want to make jokes. I will not.
No. I have more of these purple blocks that
Yeah,
I
like
need.
and don't come out here with the actually is about canon about like in chaos, not in chaos theory, in Camp Cretaceous there was a Smilodon.
That was a mistake.
That was a mistake. They shouldn't have done that. They should all be destroyed based on Muldoon pilled.
Oh, sorry. Here's the rat.
Yeah, it's also, it's not like we are at any risk of running out of cool and interesting Mesozoic critters. Give us a croc.
Yeah.
I'll channel Alex for a minute here.
Well,
Give us a croc.
Seance.
Oh, give us
would
a
be
croc.
fun.
Give us like all of the different other body shapes that dinosaurs can be. Some of the early critters. Give us more Triassic stuff. Aoraptor. Like Rawasuchians, Thalatasuchians. Like there's so many things
It'd be
that
fun
they
to have,
could
like,
be
a
added.
croc sampler pack.
Yeah.
Hey,
you're
an
like,
anonymous
it's like-
tip for $3.
Hey, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Anonymous.
Uh,
Early sauropodomorphs, Plateosaurus.
Yeah.
I want sauropodomorphs badly.
Alas, it does
So,
not seem to
I
be in the
can't-
cards for us.
I can't guarantee this, but since I am home, is there interest in me trying to acquire a special guest?
That's extreme interest.
Oh my God, yes, get a special guest. Holy crap.
I
Holy
will
moly.
see if I can procure the special guest. I will be right back.
I want to see him.
I'm playing Dinosaur Park.
No, you're playing Halt.
I'm gonna scream.
Dinosaur Park is where Canadians go to play Holotype. By which I mean they walk around until they find one.
And fight a Holotype.
I know.
Immediately. An embarrassment of fossils just emerge. I love when you roll Dinosaur Park formation. You just get all of the fossils.
Yep.
Yeah, Dino Dan, I have a thought on what you said, which I'm gonna share just because it's something that I think about a lot. Which Dino Dan says, wasn't Sabretooth canon before Camp Cretaceous, though, since there are Sabretooth plushies?
interrupt. Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh, yes.
we got him.
Oh my God.
Now that is a large cat.
He's so big.
This is my parents' cat, Miles. He's part Maine Coon. He's about 20 pounds. And he's a wonderful animal. And he's hanging out. We'll see how long he actually hangs out with me for.
My children are oversleeping on the couch, and I don't want to bug them because they're going to eat my
kind of give a
snacks.
sense of scale again. There he is. Wait, I gotta see this way. It's the man. The man, the myth, the legend.
God, I love that he really
He's so
tolerates
incredible.
this.
Yeah.
Oh, he's wonderful. He did bite the hell out of Dalton when he was here.
That's true, but it was playful.
It was playful.
It was done with love.
He's a very
It was very
He tried to
tasteful.
eat my shoelaces while I was tying my shoes, which
He
was
did.
very funny. Miles is a beautiful, beautiful man.
I just love Miles.
So anyway, continue.
But so yeah, so Diamond was saying there were saber-toothed cat plushies in the gift shop in Jurassic Park. And I would take that, I don't take that to mean that there were saber-toothed cats in Jurassic Park for two reasons. Reason one is that they're not on the map and they're never mentioned. So that's reason number one enough for me. But reason number two is something that's always bothered me with the Jurassic Park gift shop, which always makes me sad every time it's the Petticoat Lane scene, is seeing all the merchandise that will never get sold. I don't know why that affects me so much, because I don't like capitalism, but
he's a Star Wars fan. He's like, he sees merch he can't buy and he starts having
merchandising. That's where the real money is made. But no, it's just that like none of the merchandise that they seem to be selling in the gift shop actually reflects what the dinosaurs look like in the park.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like none of it is. It seems that they haven't consulted anyone to like, hey, make us plushies and like shirts and stuff that actually feature what T-Rex really looks like. Now that we know this because we cloned one, it seems like in keeping with the theme of sparing no expense, right? That they just kind of got generic dinosaur merchandise to sell at the gift shop. Which if I went to Jurassic Park, I'd be very upset to be like, why doesn't this look like the dinosaurs that they cloned? That I just saw in the zoo.
They're the only ones who know what it looks like.
Yeah. And like, yes, so someone made the point, Alaska is a great point, that lots of zoos sell toys of animals they don't have.
Yes, but I was about to just say that.
It would be like if they sold a plush of like a lion, but it was just a tiger and they called it a lion.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was gonna say, like, I find it funny that Jurassic Park falls into the critique that I always have of every natural history museum I go to, in that the merch is always mid and very frequently does not reflect the things that the museum is known for.
With the exception of the Field Museum and the Terrell. Very notable exceptions that have amazing things that do absolutely reflect what they have.
I was just the other day, when Dalton and Shelby came to visit me, singing the praises of the Terrell's gift shop, a museum that I've never been to.
It's such a dangerous place.
Well, I go to their store online every once in a while and I check, and like several of my favorite like things that I bought from a natural history museum, I got from there. I have these little these snowflakes for my Christmas tree that are probably my favorite ornaments I have. They're so pretty. There's 3 different patterns of them. They're these like they're these bright shiny silver snowflakes with a red ribbon on them, and there's 3 different patterns to them, and from a distance they just look like little silver like Christmas snowflakes. And when you get up close, one of them is like theropod footprints in a snowflake pattern going around, and one of them is long-necked plesiosaurs, and one of them is rhamphorhynchoid pterosaurs, and they are so nice. They're so nice. Oh my gosh, it's and they don't even, I don't even think they sell them anymore. It makes me very sad.
I also
I did a global objective.
I do enjoy the. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, and Doc Dino gave us a super chat. $5.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Doc Dino.
Nice to see another channel talking about Allosaurus. I found at least 2 of them at this past summer. They are everywhere in the Morrison. Yes, they are.
All right, I am
raises questions
of Alex today and publishing on Solaris.
I like that art of Solaris. That's very pretty.
I like how it's running away.
Yeah, they don't let you get a good look at its head.
It's 3 and 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't multitask right now because I've got the animal.
Oh, I forgot you still had him.
Yeah, he's hanging out. I wasn't sure. Sometimes he gets into a mood where he's bitey, as cats are wont to do. And then I get a grad student now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Also, agreed. I really like the Halifax Museum of Natural History. That's a fun museum.
And Goth Parrot, that's very cool. I did not know
that. We work pretty close with them here at Harvard, and so every once in a while I get a good chance to go visit, and it's fun. Your ancient turtle you have up there is pretty great. I like him a lot.
So Pot Smokin' Dino has asked what was the announcement. Two announcements. One, we've got some new stickers that are going to be available on our Etsy page, not on Redbubble. They will go online on Monday, and they are both brilliantly designed. One designed by Amelia, one designed by Scott. And also, we have been chosen to give you guys a first look at some of the new DLC coming for Paleopines, and we'll have a video up about that in only a few days, as soon as the embargo breaks.
I will show the new designs when I can. Right now, I'm a little incapacitated. So.
Yes. Kevin Preem has asked ETA on the Discord watch-alongs. Wouldn't you like to know? That's soon. After we catch up on the Q&As again.
Yeah.
So,
Which,
we're trying, Dutch.
A very quick and very broad peek behind the curtain. We've had a lot of personal stuff come up in the crew, and things have been put on hold.
We're
Yes.
busy.
Yes.
As we've said many a time, like in addition to obviously there have been personal things, like we also have other jobs. This is not our full-time job. This is something that we do kind of for fun. But that means that when our job jobs
Erosion.
when our jobs get busy, this kind of has to take a little bit of a back seat, and we have to focus on the essential, weekly things. Somebody is wiggling. If you would like down, please communicate that kindly.
And we can unlock our next upgrade, by the way.
Oh my.
Ooh.
God, let's see.
I'm gonna do.
Which one is the white cube one? Is that the? Are you okay? Hold on a second. I gotta deal with this, or I'll get bit.
Hang on.
There you go, buddy. All right, wait a second. Everybody say goodbye to Miles. He's
Bye,
starting.
Miles.
Goodbye,
Bye, Miles.
He's going to bite me if I don't help him get down.
I'm going to the library.
Other fossils I should rightfully had.
Let's see. Is it accurate for the museum in Berlin to say that the Giraffatitan is Brachiosaurus? No, that's Giraffatitan.
No. And the reason the signs probably still say that is just that changing signs in museums can be a more complicated affair than you might think, because lots of people need to be involved. There's lots of oversight on those things, and it costs money and resources that are oftentimes better utilized elsewhere.
Yeah, you would not believe the number of taxon that have outdated names on their signage. Specifically, most of them are taxon that are not the big flashy ones that you think of when you think of going to visit a natural history museum. Back when I was doing Fossil Fridays all the time when I was at the AMNH, it was like a coin flip every time I did like a small little, like, not super popularly known critter of like, is this genus still valid?
Right. Also, like, there isn't an official board that determines like what's valid or not. Like it is to some degree what's used.
Yeah.
Like, for a manuscript I'm writing right now, I'm kind of going through a lot of like old historical debates about the validity of some taxa.
Very briefly, does this mean I get 0 from that one freaking dice, that museum block?
It means you take it from the museum supply instead of from the regular supply.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
so-
if they're in the museum, you're okay.
So this means I get 1 or I get 2?
You get 2. You get 1 from the bowl and 1 from the museum.
Okay, thank you.
Also, wait,
And 2 white cubes.
doesn't the different goals and stuff, don't they refresh the museum?
I've been doing that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so, I mean, basically, what you will find a lot is there's not usually a final paper that settles something. Like, usually there's just kind of somebody says the last word and then no further paper comes out. That doesn't mean everybody always agrees. That just kind of means, like, the debate stops happening. Like, it's not governed somewhere. So sometimes you may have a museum curator who named something and then thinks that that taxon is valid, and so they want to keep their signs in their museum as identifying it as that taxon, even though sometimes there's dispute about that for one of the potential many reasons that can happen.
Yeah.
Also, I have to say, I'm really enjoying the hypothetical skeleton crew merch
Me too.
in chat right now. Honestly, like, if you guys have some things that you are like, I really wish that there was this, let us know. Like, we're still very much designing things all the time. I have little designs that are bouncing around my brain, like the DVD logo, and then I'm inspired to do something when it hits a corner. So keep them coming. And like I am going to keep coming with new taxon as I publish this. That was a very clever segue.
Brilliantly done, in fact.
Bada boom. And I'm going to pay I'm gonna pay 3 white and 2 green. Oh my god, so many super chats. I'm gonna do this quick for Ankylosaurus. All right, let's go. Move it on.
Yippee!
Yippee!
Also, very quickly, for those who were not here earlier, the 2 new designs are this one by Scott. Apologies that it's on my phone.
Physically and mentally bad.
It's bad. And then the one that I did. Here.
Now, we got 2 things I want to address in the super chats. One, David Levering, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the
David.
kind words and for the kind donation. And Kaiju Fan 1954, hello all, hope you're doing well. If there's some time travel shenanigans Tarbo and T-Rex met, how closely related they are, what are the chances they could breed together like some bears do today? Hard if not impossible to say, but I don't think the chance is 0.
Well, also the time travel shenanigans wouldn't need to be extreme. They were roughly contemporaneous, right?
Yeah,
or am I
mean,
wrong?
We're not, the age constraints on the rocks where Tarbosaurus comes from are not incredibly confident, and so we know it's latest Cretaceous, but I think the opinions vary between, like, they could well be contemporaneous and Tarbo is earlier. Those are the 2 possibilities.
Okay.
Amelia, it's up to you. I just recalled my guys. Okay. The reason that I say we can't know is that, like, I mean, basically that's just a DNA kind of question.
Yeah.
And one of the big things is that what seems to make you reproductively incompatible kind of fastest or most effectively is if your DNA are broken up into different numbers of chromosomes. Like, and there's not really a good way to predict when that happens. Like, humans have fewer Humans have fewer chimpanzees, I was about to say. Humans have fewer chromosomes than chimpanzees. That's just kind of how it is. It's a thing. These rearrangements make it pretty difficult to interbreed. I don't know why we have different numbers of chromosomes, but we do. And so we would need information we can't have. But, like, based on estimated divergence times and everything, I think it's totally reasonable to think that those animals could have interbred.
Yeah,
but like fish and everything.
Yeah, but there are some, like, incredibly similar looking extant animals that just kind of don't interbreed nowadays. There was a TikTok I stumbled upon from a mammologist who focuses on bats, and she was talking about how it was, I believe, like the Indiana bat and the little brown bat have ranges that overlap, and they are almost indistinguishable from anybody who's not a bat expert. And one of the only ways to really tell them apart is one of them has toe hairs that are longer than its toes, and one of them has toe hairs that are shorter than its toes. But other than that, they look essentially identical, and they do not interbreed and are not super closely related.
It's
just like wild.
We've gotten questions about whether or not we can do plushies.
Ooh, that's rough.
I don't think we can do that.
Unfortunately,
I would be very in favor of a branded line of Funko Pops.
No. One day in the distant future, when we have more time, which may or may not exist as a real time, possibly, because, like, I know there are some places where, like, you can give them the design and they fulfill it. Because, like, our main limitation here is that we do not have materials to make these things on hand, and we're dependent on other people who do have those materials. to make those things. But that is not to say to not give us suggestions, because it's something that we will consider perhaps in the future when we have more time and resources. Because that is, of course, another thing is it takes a lot of money to invest in buying stock.
Right.
Which, oh my God, sorry, Miles has not left. He's continued to just kind of lurk.
As
Good
one
for
is wont
Miles.
to do.
As one is wont to do. And he just appeared. But anyways, yeah, that'd be great. But we don't have time to do that. And I also have no idea how to design a plushie. Like, I've not worked in 3D like that before.
Oh, Swamp Abe asks, is that the eye patch biologist? Yes, it is. She's awesome.
Raptor77, hey, wondering your all's thoughts on the Ordovician Earth Ring.
Rad.
It's super cool.
Super cool.
Extremely cool. I don't know enough about physics to have like a science opinion. I believe it because it's cool.
I saw someone on Twitter, I didn't see the answer to it, but someone asked if...
Oh, hell yeah. I'm going to Morrison Formation.
Let's go.
Congratulations. Someone asked if that was why there are apparently like Ordovician aged meteorites or something. And it's like, yeah, that sounds like it's possible.
Well, that was one of the things that they pointed to in the paper.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it was a ring of equatorially distributed meteorites around that time.
With like no impacts outside of a narrow band.
Just like an
Interesting. Oh, sorry,
Oh yes,
threw
and
out all
it
of
is Amelia's turn.
Yeah. I can't do anything that
Kyle Mail asks, what's our opinion on the new big Metriacanthosaur that was named right after the Metri video? Well, my opinion is I wish they would have published that like a week earlier, or that we had rolled Metriacanthosaurus a week later so we could have talked about it. Otherwise, I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. What are the chances of finding preserved colors from specimens in the Morrison Formation? Probably fairly low, but I mean, I guess the Morrison does preserve skin impressions, right?
Well, yeah, that's where actually yeah, that is where we get like the Haukori stuff has skin impressions all over it.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think in that case, I mean, it's possible if you have fine enough preservation, like I think that they've been able to do some color reconstruction based on preserved skin impressions, but it's probably not going to be super it's probably not going to be super informative. But it could happen. Now there was something else. Okay, we got 3 questions from Alice, I think. I like saying the I think afterward as if I don't know who asked it.
I'm not sure.
First, what still unknown paleontological thing do you each most want to know? For me? I mean, what still unknown paleontological thing do you want to know?
Oh.
I guess I kind of just want to know what was going on in like Mesozoic rainforests or mountain ranges, like the places that fossils don't form.
That's me.
Like there's got to be entire lineages of alpine dinosaurs or tropical rainforest animals that we've never discovered.
I want to know those. Those are the big ones for me. Oh, Arthur Vandre asks, do you guys have any thoughts on Brazilian paleontology? Boy, do I. I did field work down there last summer and met some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life. And I love those guys, and I really, really hope I can go back. We were down in the Rio Grande do Sul region and in the Quatro Colonias area, and it was rad. One of the coolest experiences I've had in my whole life. I love it. And oh my God, there's some of the coolest fossils I've ever seen. It was like every small museum that we went to just had amazingly rad stuff, and it was just like, are you kidding? This is the coolest stuff I've ever seen in my life. It was so cool. No way, that's where you live? Whereabouts? That's awesome.
All right, I've published Torvosaurus with
Congratulations.
amber associated with it.
Oh, do I have? Oh, I have all my guys out. Okay, great. We're gonna bring everybody home. Uh,
Dinodan, super chat from Dinodan. Thank you very much. He asks, if you could each pick one prehistoric creature to be in Jurassic World Evolution 3, what would it be? And thanks for the amazing content. Well, thank you for watching. If I could pick one prehistoric creature to be in Jurassic World Evolution 3, it would be it'd be Helioscopos, because I named it, and that'd be cool. But also it would mean that they've added small animal exhibits, which I think would be really cool.
No, they've just oversized it by a factor of 100.
Oh, I can also answer. So Arthur asks if I've seen the Prestasuka stuff. Fun fact: the Museum of Comparative Zoology is one of the only places that has actual Prestasuka stuff outside of Brazil, and that's because the Brazilian paleontologist Llewellyn Price sent some to us because he was very good friends with Romer.
Swamp Ape, thank you so much for the donation
Thank you, Swamp
via the
Ape.
PayPal link,
Thank
which
you
makes
very
the
much.
fun sound when you donate there.
to be clear, not actually a donation in this.
Well, yes, a donation to us.
To us.
So
Yes. To the James Needs a
Actually-
New Graphics Card to Stream Prehistoric Kingdom Fund,
yes.
which is
So
an
actually,
important charity. Yes.
I'm gonna publish something that's very apropos.
Oh no.
Oh, is it?
Is it Helioscopos?
How dare
Holy
you.
cow.
It's Helioscopos.
Oh my god.
Dalton, I really like that you made it 6 research points in a single fossil.
I did so much work on this damn thing.
Well, he did. He did. That's so
Yes.
funny.
That's reflective of the experience of working on it.
I will follow the trend of it'd be very cool to see Yorgi in a
Oh my god.
in a popular culture kind of context.
Honestly, Amelia, I think that your chances are better than 0.
I know
Yeah.
that's part of the game we play with fun names.
I would obviously love Kuru, and I do like the idea for it being in there as the accurate Velociraptor.
You had it in an Attenborough.
But I did,
You
and that's
had-
why I wasn't going to choose it. I wanted it more.
Give me more. I did a global objective.
Oh, God, Dalton's killing
Which
it
one?
with those global objectives. He's sniping all of them.
Oh my god. Okay.
He's a killer.
I'm gonna lose this
Queen.
game. I already know.
That probably, yeah.
I picked the wrong
so-
personal objective.
There are some other attacks I'm working on right now that would be cool to see in the game. But in terms of one that's already named, I mean, God, there's a lot. I would actually like Torvosaurus in this game.
That would be cool.
Mm.
That'd be very cool.
Kuru, more like Coolru. True.
True.
True, Rue.
Now, I think that Alice, I think, had more questions. What would I want as a fossil creature for a pet? Some Microraptor and Dromaeosaur. Oh, Amelia, by the way, it's your turn. Oh no, it's my turn. I never took my
You
turn.
never went. Yeah.
I should
No,
go.
no, skip it.
No. Please don't. Well, I'm bumping your graduate student.
See, I really want Tujongosaurus to continue more Asian stegosaurs.
They
You
have to
are
be
an evil
stopped.
man.
It's time to stop.
I mean, no, I will say that, like, I honestly, this is less of a hope for Evolution 3 and more of, but I will give my real answer of, I think that I want Yi. Give me Yi.
That'd be cool.
Yichi. Which I do like. Everybody always refers to it by the full genus and species name because it does sound goofy when you don't, and that's why I like to just call it Yi.
Yee.
Yi.
And Amelia, there you go.
But I was going to say something, and then this is something that James brought up ages ago when we were first becoming friends, when we were bonding over our excitement for Planet Zoo, that then turned to bitter disappointment when we found out that it was a job to play that game, and you needed
Do
to
you-
become an architect,
Do you want to build an enclosure for your animals that doesn't look like crap? Each
brick
one
by
will take
brick.
it will take 8 hours to build a single enclosure, and none of this is gameplay relevant.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So I remember James made the point. He was just like, in a modern game like this, I want every antelope. Give me everything. I want to have so much choice in the different animals that it's paralyzing. And I honestly want the same thing. Like, give me so many different little critters. Give me so many different guys. I want to be able to get as granular as possible with my different exhibits and stuff. That would be a blast.
Yeah, and I stand by it. I want, especially when it's modern animals, I want everything.
I am
There are
publishing the Stegosaur.
Hey,
the
Gregosaurus is here.
Steeg.
400 species of Anolis. Let's go.
Exactly. I want all 6,000 species of mammals. I want every rodent.
Mm-hmm.
My little guy house is going to be so full.
Okay.
Well, that's like at the Bronx Zoo. They literally have a little guy house.
I
Yeah.
do.
House.
And
It's
it's
so
a
many
house of
species
guys.
mice. It's so cute.
I will admit,
God fucking.
the Bronx Zoo is a zoo I struggle with doing zoo time on. For those who are unfamiliar, Alex and I have a phenomenon called zoo time, in which when you go to the zoo, your goal is to see every animal at the zoo. Hunger, bathroom breaks, everything else takes second place to seeing every animal. That's very difficult at the Bronx Zoo because it's huge. And I was prepared to sacrifice the little guy house. And oh, I was so wrong to do so. It's an amazing place.
I had never done it before. I went with you guys that one time where we went in there, and I was like, oh my God, actually, this is a great time. Oh, speaking of the Bronx Zoo, I think I told you all this already, but the last time I was there, they had baby Temistoma.
Oh,
Thank God.
There were like 3 or 4 of them. They were so cute.
So
And there's
Rex.
always. Hmm?
Oh, sorry. Rex the Old Soul just sent in a very good question.
Oh, okay. I want to briefly say another
sure.
very good animal at the Bronx Zoo is the brightest blue gecko you've ever seen in your life. He's amazing.
Mm.
Oh my God. Tracks come out.
with the Hypacrosaurus.
Hello, Pacrosaurus.
The Pacro has never been so high.
What about a low Pacrosaurus?
That's coming next.
Oh my God.
Yeah, San Diego Zoo in zoo time would be almost impossible.
Well, this
It
is
challenges
like
the zoo time.
I do try to do this at zoos, but I also do it at museums, which is hard if you go to a museum with a reader. I am not personally a reader at museums. I like to look
Same.
at things. But like for example, like going to there's an airplane museum up in Oshkosh, like with my grandpa who is very much a reader. It's a very small museum. It takes the whole day, which is okay.
Sorry, James, before you start going into your turn action too far, we have our next upgrade choice.
Yes.
I will also let's go back to Rex the Old Soul's question because that's fantastic. Rex the Old Soul asks, I plan on publishing a book and want it to be a layman's guide to ancient environments that includes up-to-date knowledge on flora and fauna types per age and location. Where do I start researching? Buddy, that's going to be a big undertaking. Hats off to you for doing it. I think that it would be a fantastic resource for paleo artists, for people who just like are curious about that stuff. The paleobotany stuff is going to be
It's hard.
hard.
Yeah.
Paleobotany collections are unfortunately they need more love.
They do. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy thing, but it's a worthwhile.
worthwhile.
It is a worthwhile endeavor, absolutely.
Yes. So I see we've gotten a question numerous times about dinosaurs with fur.
With the fur.
No, probably not. But to not answer it so dismissively, I think it's very likely that a lot of dinosaurs would have appeared somewhat like they had fur, but it wouldn't be hair like what mammals have. It would be very, very primitive or degraded feathers, depending on the animal. Kind of like what an emu has, which like I think emus kind of look furry.
Or hairy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hairy.
like true fur that mammals have appears to be restricted to only us, and there's no evidence of that kind of tissue in dinosaurs or in bird genomes, but we do know birds can produce a lot of different kinds of feathers, including feathers that look like that. So yeah.
Oh, dinosaurs and more. That would be a good choice too. Mononicus in JW3.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yes.
We have a super chat from Cody Bishop. Thank you very much. Who asked, "Do you believe life arrived on Earth via meteors?" I personally am not a panspermia advocate, although, I mean, in the very broadest, strictest sense, the components for life arrived on the rocks that assembled into the planet, which were at the time meteors. So kind of, but I don't think that there were microbes hitching a ride on a meteor that then, seeded life on the planet. It's not impossible, but I don't think so.
I think it's possible that it's only cephalopods. And it was recent. They're still aliens.
It's entirely possible.
It's entirely possible. Oh, bye, dinosaurs and more. Got to go do your bio homework. This is your bio homework. We're your teacher now.
AJ the Sleepy, I have heard the noise a kiwi bird makes, and it brings me great joy.
It's so different from what you would expect.
I really enjoy the comment we just got.
Are you going to share it with us?
I'm sorry.
No.
We'll send astrobiologists to prison.
To prison in all caps. That's really good. No, and then also for those wondering, Swamp Ape has identified the gecko as Lygodactylus williamsi, which yes, it is the bluest little boy. It is so cute. I love it.
I suppose I must look for fossils. The field assistant should have a benefit in the field expeditions.
They probably should. Hypothetically, they're good at it.
I wish
you would expect.
I'm hopeful that maybe Brexworks will add the European expansion to the holotype, to the digital version, because I have it
so nice
now, and it does add some cool new gameplay things.
All right.
Someone asked a while ago where you get this game.
Discarding the Hell Creek.
And just to clarify, you can get the board game Holotype on the Brexworks website, which is the company that makes the game. BREXWERX. They recently did a major expansion of Mesozoic Europe, and they also did a Cruratarsi, so crocodilian mini expansion, which has both European and North American crocodilians in it, which is really cool. And this is the demo version of the game available on Tabletop Simulator, which is on Steam. And it's a great way to simulate tabletop board games.
Indeed. I play Magic on it.
I'm sorry.
No, don't, because it keeps me from buying the cards in real life.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Do you think that baby T-Rexes would have been feathered like in Prehistoric Planet, or more sparsely feathered, kind of like the fur of a baby elephant? That's going to depend on a couple of things. The main thing is going to be hatching size, and also what the adult integument is like. We don't really know how densely feathered T-Rex was, if at all. I think the Prehistoric Planet depiction is pretty reasonable. Mm-hmm. But generally, like a baby T-Rex probably would have hatched from an egg that's like about that big. And so they'd hatch quite small, and that's going to mean the square cube law is not favoring them if they are less densely covered. So I'd imagine they were probably quite fuzzy when they were born at the very least.
Yeah, I think we've said in the past that they might have, at the very least, appeared fuzzier than the adults, and not because they would have lost their fuzz as they grew, because that seems to kind of not be something that at least birds do. Where you have a feathered hatchling and an unfeathered adult, or a less feathered adult. But just purely out of the square cube law. Uh, just making like the distribution of the feathers would get farther and farther apart as the animal grows, so it would go from looking very fuzzy to less fuzzy. Also, David Levering, we should get a commander game at SVP. Don't tempt me, that sounds fun.
That sounds fun.
Could James give a full lecture of human anatomy aimed at dental students for a video? Well, I sure could.
Yeah, you could.
Do you want to?
I don't know. Actually, I mean,
could that be a new flavor of Patreon content? Is just recording
anatomy lectures?
Anatomy lectures?
No. It can't. It can't be. I'm gonna go publish.
Bole.
Go publish, girl.
In the Thyreophorine way.
Ew.
Gargoyleosaurus.
Ooh, a good creature.
Also, David, my comment on playing commander at SVP is contingent on what commander do you play. This is a very important question. What colors do you play?
Side note, someone said lead Zichthies would be a good addition to the new Jurassic.
Ooh,
that would be cool.
Oh my god, yes.
Cool.
That's a great idea.
That would be good in like those big like rhizodont fish from whenever the hell, I don't know how old.
Yeah.
Oh, Rhizodus. That's great white shark sized and lived in swamps. Like how? What?
As determined by Jeremy Wade, the best river monster of all time.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
Can I publish? I think I can also publish. Okay, I'm going to publish. I'm going to move this rat because it's in my way.
Honestly, I could also see amphibians. Give us some Temnos.
That'd be cool. Ooh, Shonisaurus worth a
Coolosaurus.
lot. Holy crap.
Yep.
Who's worth a lot?
Shonisaurus.
13.
Ichthyosaurus.
Oh my.
I do not condone ichthyosaurs, but this one is worth a lot of points. So I will publish it.
Gargoyleosaurus is my Roman Empire.
Yeah,
many decks.
What's your opinion on T-Rex having a lion-like mane? It's hard. I mean, there's no evidence for or against it. It's a cool idea.
I like it a lot.
It would be cool.
Or even like a big, like, kind of puffy, like feather situation would be interesting.
You know what else I really like?
Oh.
I'm going to I need to go there first. Boop. Kick.
I've been booped.
I
really like publishing my friends' critters.
Oh my god. Right. I don't think I've ever, except for in real life, published Jormungandr.
No, I don't think you've ever gotten it.
Oh, I think you did it once. I've been every other time.
It's usually you, yeah.
Isaac B has asked, I might end up instructing for biology/anatomy courses as a paleo-focused grad student, even though it's not my specific academic background. Have you guys had similar experiences? Yeah, I mean, that's my current job.
No.
My current job is specifically to teach human anatomy. I am bumping.
I think
field assistant.
I did TA a dinosaurs/paleo class. But on the other, for me at least, it was actually the opposite. I'm very much biology focused, and it was mostly geo, so that was a fun learning curve.
Yeah, in my experience, as a grad student, it's actually often a great time to get to teach like TA or TF a course that's outside of your direct purview, because you get to learn a lot. You get to learn a lot very quickly, but also like it's kind of weird to say this because I take it very seriously when I teach, but also the stakes are kind of low. Like you get a chance to learn this material and get a chance to try to teach this material, and if you do need help, then you've got the professor there to lean on.
Right. No, it is really helpful, and I mean the old aphorism is that you learn by teaching, and I have absolutely found that to be true.
Yeah.
Like just today, I was teaching. We're in like Skull Week for my dental students, so we're uh, we're going through just the osteology of the human skull, which is really cool. And one area of the skull that's like really hard to get a firm lock on is this space called the pterygopalatine fossa, which
I'm always saying this.
I know, because the pterygopalatine fossa is almost impossible to visualize fully externally. It's this space that's kind of between your maxilla bone and the sphenoid bone that's like deep in the side of your head that's got all these nerve pathways running through it that are really important that are so hard to see. And so I like actually did a demo for my students where I was putting these really thin, we pulled bristles off a broom. They're the exact right kind of size and consistency to go through cranial nerve foramina. And so I was putting them through from all the different entrance points and everything and showing that you could see them all crossing in this deep space to help them learn the anatomy of it. And like, while I certainly knew the anatomy academically, I certainly walked out of there. I was like, God, I really do know the pterygopalatine fossa now. And there's a lot of great words there. The things that go in there include foramen rotundum, pterygoid canal, your pterygomaxillary fissure, your sphenopalatine foramen, your inferior orbital fissure. These are all words I use. They're cool.
For those of you in chat chanting Skull Week as if it's a fun, cool time, it is not. You will learn. Did you ever take an
it's the best
class?
part.
It is. Well, no. First of all, I had a bad personal thing happen during my Skull Week, which is, to be clear, historically the most difficult week of the anatomy class.
Nugget sandstone.
Because it's a very complicated region, but it's also, to put it bluntly, the most viscerally upsetting week of the anatomy class.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, to be clear, we're not. This is not in the dissection lab. We're using preserved skulls, like just
good. That's great. But in general, Skull Week in an anatomy class, especially if you are dissecting, becomes the most viscerally unpleasant time of your life in terms of all of your senses and the things that you get to do and see.
Wouldn't hypothetically the lower abdomen be the most visceral one?
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
I knew one of you. It's not fun.
No,
that is also not fun.
That is, in my experience, the most like kind of unpleasant dissection. But yeah, what we do, which I really like, is we do a full week on just the osteology of the skull, so that when we're later doing dissections, the students have like already fully learned the osteology and all the different parts that we're talking about, which I think is really helpful for understanding it later.
Thank you, Venator. Skull Week makes your skull week. And AJ the Sleepy, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you very
the
much.
message did not send, so feel free to type the message and we will read it.
your first super chat.
Yeah, thank you so much. But yes, I agree with the Skull Week chant because it's my favorite week to teach. Now that I'm on the other side, but also because my class is mostly dental, we're kind of entering Skull month and a half.
Oh, wow.
Well, like we focus on that region very like slowly. We do really deliberate work everywhere. Yeah.
And these are like dental students. They need to be focused. Yeah.
Yes, I'm like you guys do have to know all the places you need to inject anesthetic, and here's why. Adamolos, boo. I'm gonna take my turn now. Oh God.
I'm getting told I should be in prison. What did I do?
Scott, we're all saying this.
I am not, to be clear, implying that any part of dissection is pleasant, but there are certain tasks that are easier and less gross than others. And less
the viscera joke. Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Fair.
All right,
Go
I've
on.
withdrawn my men. And Amelia, you're up.
Is the separating the light meat from the dark meat pretty okay?
Depends. I separating out mussels, it depends on the mussels, but that actually is one of the things I don't mind as much. What I don't like is then going home and having to make dinner and handling raw chicken breasts, which feel basically the same.
I had a
Yeah.
moment where I was like trying to cook after I had been teaching, and I just like thankfully I lived with my family, and I just looked at my mom and my sister, and I was like, you know what, you guys got to handle this today. I'm sorry.
It was
I don't know what it was exactly, but I just couldn't do it.
it was specifically for me, it was worse after comparative anatomy, actually, which was not with a human cadaver. It was with a cat, which is also a different kind of unpleasant. Um and that was my first actual dissection experience. And that specifically, I for literally years could not handle raw chicken with my hands because I hated that it reminded me of that. Um Thankfully I was able to just get over it. It was kind of funny, like I'll take my turn and then I'll finish this. I actually don't know what I want to do. No, never mind. I know what I need to go to the field because I have no cubes. I'm cubeless in Seattle. We're gonna continue making this joke.
It's a good
That's
joke.
so old. No, it's really good. Oh, wouldn't you know it? I have a formation that I don't need. Um. Anyway, oh my God, I forgot what I was saying. I was talking about dissections and
Chicken
unpleasant
breasts.
Chicken.
chicken breasts, right? Oh, the reason, I think at least the contributing reason to Inhuman Anatomy why I was able to just kind of power through and get through the unpleasantness was that my lab mates had never done dissection at all before, and I had, and they were going so slow, and I just wanted to get the hell out and go home. So I was like, okay, forget it. I know how to do this, and I want to go home. So I will perform this task.
It does help.
It helps.
The desire to leave can be a powerful motivator.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it sucks because it's the kind of skill that you really can't transfer to anything else. Like, unless I were to like become a butcher, I guess.
You can
It
do that.
sucks. Yeah. No, I couldn't. I hate it.
But yeah, I would actually never mind. Do we know how long we'll be screaming today? Well,
Constantly.
basically until the game ends.
Yeah.
Raptor 9 asks, have I ever gone hunting? Or have we? I have not personally.
Me neither.
No.
Nope.
Oh, I drew the wrong thing.
It's not something I'm opposed to. I grew up in like dense suburbia where hunting is basically impossible and very few people do it. Like, I mean, I grew up on Long Island where like most people I know who hunted either like would take long vacations or had some property in like upstate New York or somewhere in New England where they had like land they could hunt on. I know there is some hunting that occurs on the island, but it's pretty uncommon. I think just logistically more than anything else. And so it's not really an experience I had early on, nor is it something I've kind of learned to do. And it's also not something I want to just figure out on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
likewise,
but I'm not like I don't have any moral problem with it, and it's something I've wanted to learn to do actually.
My like my extended family, like my second cousins in that family, because they live in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the state, basically. Like they go hunting, and my grandpa does too. And I had opportunities theoretically to go with my grandpa. I just never got around to it. And honestly, I don't think I would have liked it, just knowing what I know about myself. Which is unfortunate because in range settings, I'm a pretty good shot.
You are. Can
Yeah.
confirm.
Yeah, Scott can confirm. We had a range day together. It was very fun.
That was a blast. Not to make a pun.
To the lab.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull this card off the top.
We've had several questions. I'm going to answer them just briefly, kind of triage this one because Kaiju Fan 1954, it's at 4 a.m. Where they are, and they want to ask before they leave, which God bless you for staying up till 4 a.m. watching us. Thank you. Do you know the difference between Sachikosaurus and Kronosaurus? They seem very similar. I don't. Off the top
Not
of
off the top of my head.
There
No.
you are, Amelia.
I'm sorry to say.
I
Where's
want
the Sachikosaurus from?
I don't know. They said it was in Path of Titans,
Colombia.
I think. Right?
Yeah, it's from Colombia apparently, and I don't know. I'm sorry.
No.
You
I
were
do
gonna say
have
me.
someone asked what happens to the cadavers after they've been dissected, which is a very quick and easy answer, and that whole like situation of how medical cadavers nowadays wind up in labs is actually very interesting. But the short answer is they get cremated, I believe.
Uh, yes, yes. So medical schools will run willed body donation programs where they'll speak to people about the possibility of donating their body for science and education, and the remains are after the end of lab period, they're cremated. The remains are returned to the families if they're next of kin, and then there is also a ceremony at least yearly. I think some places do it more specifically for the donors to honor their memory and thank them for for being generous enough to donate their own bodies to education and research. It is something then, and I do want to say this because I think it's always one of those difficult things to talk about because it is something that's kind of mechanically not pleasant and obviously a very emotional thing, but it is really important.
And I want to be clear in that, in all of the talking about how horrible it is, that is literally just for me, it is difficult because I don't like recently dead things. But yeah, it is extremely valuable, and I am fortunate to have had the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and I mean it's just more than for us, but then for less for us than for medical professionals themselves. I'm not a physician, but I can't imagine treating people and doing everything that doctors do without having had that experience. And so it's something we're tremendously grateful for, and we try to make we really do try to make sure that we communicate how much we respect that decision and how grateful we are for it. Because it's not something if people did not donate their bodies for that purpose, this could not happen.
Yeah.
We could not we just could not do it any other way. Yeah. Anyway,
I really like the dichotomy here of someone who is saying that they are a donor, which is fantastic. That's awesome.
yes.
And then someone who whether this is a joke or not, I don't know, wants to donate their body to traumatize the next generation of med students, which honestly also valid cause. Amazing.
Someone did ask. It was Arthur asked, "Would you?"
Hold on, we had a super chat.
Okay.
We had a super chat a little while ago.
Okay.
Yes, it's AJ the Sleepy finishing up the super chat from earlier that didn't send the text. Thoughts on fossil fighters and is Yorgi brat? Well, Amelia, you can take the latter part of that.
I don't know what that means. We just talked about this in our group chat 2 days ago. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it means. I know it's green.
I saw this come up and I was like, it is very funny that we discussed this the other days because we have our two old people in chat right now.
I have no idea what this means.
I don't know what this means. I take it. My hunch answer is no. I don't know what that means. I don't know what a lizard has to do with that.
I disagree. I think that Yorgi would definitely be brat. If we have a brat elephant, we can have a brat Yorgi, but they have to execute the brat elephant at the end of brat summer.
I feel like I'm having a stroke.
A brat stroke. And then thoughts on fossil fighters, which I am unfamiliar with.
My biggest thought on fossil fighters is we get asked about it probably weekly, and none of us have played it or I think really knew much about its existence before we started this YouTube channel. Very sadly.
Yes. Also, Amelia, are you going to take your turn?
Yes. No. Sorry. I just noticed that I was having a brat stroke, I guess. As one person has
now,
so kindly put it. What am I going to do? What do I do? I'm not completing my objective is what I'm doing.
So I'm sorry. Can I take a question while you're So Riley Berry's asked, I've wanted to write a story with dinosaurs and I had a question. Could a relationship between Utahraptor and T-Rex be similar to the relationship between lions and hyenas? Theoretically, yeah. The problem is that Utahraptor didn't live with T-Rex. It lived quite a lot earlier.
What about
Dakotaraptor? That would presume Dakotaraptor exists.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think that T-Rex and a turtle would have had that relationship, but it's I think it's very, very plausible that T-Rex had a similar relationship with like dromaeosaurid predators in its environment. Like that kind of antagonistic thing would make complete sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to circle back to the question of would you donate your body to science, which is a question I've been asking myself a lot recently, and right now I'm not entirely sure. I am an organ donor, but that to me is a kind of a different question.
Yeah.
So right now, if anything were to happen to me in an accident, my organs that are usable, which I presume all of them are, but there might be problems with them I'm not aware of right now, would go to people who need them, and I think that that's only natural, and I think that's really important because it saves lives. If I were reaching the end of my life and it were kind of becoming clear that that wouldn't happen, I'm not entirely sure. I think there's a part of me that would want to, and a part of me that wouldn't, for like a kind of complex mix of reasons. One thing I have thought about is explicitly donating my skeleton, without like a dissection thing, just because we're kind of like there's a long history of the ethics associated with acquiring like teaching specimens or museum specimens
Yeah.
of skeletons that I don't really want to get into. But if somebody were to willingly donate theirs, that would be fine. And we're going to kind of run out because they do degrade over time. And so I've thought about that, like some sort of medical teaching collection. Maybe one I spend my career at. There's part of me that would think it would be kind of sweet to. Sweet's maybe not the right word, but kind of like fulfilling to wind up being a part of education there long term. But hopefully, there's a decision I don't have to make for a very long time.
Yeah.
I can also.
By which I say, I'm going to the field.
I can also. Amelia had her guest earlier. I can have a smaller guest now.
Ooh.
Oh, that is such a smaller guest.
Such a
It's
smaller
legally guest.
Hello,
Oh my God, a baby guest.
a little baby guest.
Oh,
We are going.
Everybody,
into an
this is
erosion
Elwood.
zone.
Say
I'll
hello,
take your dog.
Elwood. He is my son, and I love
So
him very
cute.
much, along with his brother Jake, who I think
Um,
is still sleeping over in the other room.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I'm taking another action, and the action I'm going to take is as if I were at the museum. So I'm going to put
Okay.
in 2 Jurassics, and I'm going to take 3 Cretaceouses.
I think I've thought about it too, about if I would donate my body to science, and I like James, I'm an organ donor, and consider that very different, and consider it a reasonable thing to do, and a fairly responsible thing to do. Though I certainly don't begrudge anyone who's not an organ donor for whatever reason. I don't think I would probably donate my body to science, um, if only because that's giving other people a level of control of what happens to my remains that I don't want to cede. Like I get the point that, it's not like what's it to you, Like it's not your problem anymore. But at the same time, I kind of want to have the right to control exactly what happens to my corporeal self when I pass away.
Yeah, I very much have the exact opposite thought to it. That like I'm done with it. I hope someone else can get some use out of me. That like I very much would donate my body to science, and kind of be like a kind of any sort of science that I really like the idea of my death contributing to something. Um, like how I am going to be bumping off Dalton here to contribute.
Does bumping kill the person in this
Yes.
game? It kills
This
them.
kills
That's
the crab.
interesting.
This kills the paleontologist, and Allosaurus did that a whole bunch, which is what I just published on. Allosaurus is more important than T-Rex. But I think I again forgot to get a trace fossil last time I did it. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I was supposed to have 2. But yeah, I've always very strongly felt that like even like I've always been more attracted to like the types of, I guess, funerals and like body disposal, for lack of a better term, that are more natural. Like I've never been a big fan of like the idea of embalming or stuff like that. There's just like hell, like I think Diogenes was based on some things like, yeah, just return me back into the carbon cycle. Not as he put it. That would have been really weird.
Hey Dalton, question on the rules. Can I have two people at one like thing?
You can. They just can't be in the same circle. But if you can occupy both circles.
I've got circles
Yeah,
to
I,
occupy.
I should donate my body to become fossilized so in 10,000 years people can practice fossil prep on me.
But yeah, it's a very kind of personal decision. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think also like I don't know exactly what the process is like because like I'm not yet at an age where people talk to you about this as a thing you could do for yourself.
Mhm.
Okay, I guess I'm getting two Jurassic fossils and a trace fossil. But I don't know if there's particular conditions. One thing I think I saw Dino Dan said that that they probably could not donate their skeleton because of scoliosis. Actually, kind of the opposite. I think a lot of medical teaching collections would be very interested in examples of that. If that's something you're interested in, not trying to pressure you into donating your skeleton. By the way, I'm just it's just it we for medicine there's a tremendous amount of value in something like very typical and pathology so that doctors can actually study what happens.
I heard it here, everybody. Dr.
Yes.
James Napoli, give me your bones.
I'm
Let's see.
publishing a Triceratops with a coprolite.
Swamp Ape funeral plans don't. I simply will not die.
um, Someone has said, and I'm trying to catch up on the chat. Sorry if we've missed some questions. Cretaceous critter going to the Kaiparoids in 2 weeks, which is awesome. Congrats, that's gonna be fun. Anything for the Kaiparoids wish lists? Lizards, bring me lizards, please.
Lizards would be cool. I would like a nice dromaeosaur. I see a later comment that I know about this thing you found, and I have no idea what you're talking about. So please remind me at some point. Not here, but I would like to remember what it is because if I did hear about it once and now I don't remember, that's going to make me sad.
I don't think I've been playing a very good game tonight, folks. I'm not optimistic about my my performance in the final moments of this game.
No, I
Are we in the
drew.
final
I was
moments?
No, not quite.
Okay, I was like, sorry.
As is standard for this game, I was given the option of two objectives for personal reasons, and I picked one because at the time it was equivalent. And actually, I think it leaned more towards this one. However, I have since only drawn the other objective, which is pretty cool and fun. It's fine.
We hate to see it.
Cretaceous critter. Not here is fine. Remind me when you get the chance. I was on so much sleep deprivation at MTE last year that I must say I barely remember a single conversation I had. So I apologize, but please don't take it personally. But I'm looking forward to getting to chat with you more about it soon.
Play the Kirtland in defense position.
We were asked by U1849KA. In lieu of a frill, could Dilophosaurus have had a mane of fuzzy feathers it could puff up? Would any sign of the
Absolutely.
mechanism required be apparent on fossils? No.
And no, yeah.
Dino Dan has asked, since you guys have said that paleontology still works if you have some disabilities, does that also go for scoliosis? Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, there is... I know of at least one worker in the field who's legally blind. I mean, and does comparative morphology by touch.
I've heard of people who are blind who do field work.
Yeah. No, I mean, there are like... There's a tremendous amount of possibility. And, you know, it's not... paleontology is actually very infrequently being some like intrepid adventurer out in the desert going far from civilization. A lot of people don't do that by choice. Some people don't do that by necessity. In either case, there can be a place for you in this field.
Mhm.
I published in Montesaurus.
Also, Brontothir, I've seen you mention your brachiopod a couple times. That's super cool. I have a bunch of brachiopods. They are in
Great.
certain parts of the U.S. They are a dime a dozen, and I don't mean that to dismiss what you found. It's so cool that you could just go to some places and just find a road cut and pick up a rock, and it's just covered in brachiopods.
Scott, being dismissive. I don't mean to dismiss this. I'm sorry.
What have I done to hurt you tonight, James?
We get our final upgrade, folks.
We do. And it's my turn, which is going to be very easy. So it's now immediately Amelia's turn. I'm just recalling my guys. I don't think the identity of these people are secret, but I don't feel comfortable revealing their like contact info. To respond to Archaeosaurus 65's comment. So I mean certainly they're reachable if you know their identities, but I haven't spoken to them about whether they'd be comfortable with contact information going out, so I don't feel comfortable sharing it in this venue. I'm sorry. There's a couple questions I wanted to address quickly. How does research opportunity work when you're working a full-time job in a somewhat separate field? If you have time, ask to volunteer in a lab. Most people are happy to have an extra set of hands, and you get to learn how to do research, and you can kind of take it from there.
Indeed.
Unfortunately, a lot of advancement in paleo often winds up involving volunteer work to some degree. That's not great, but it's the situation we have. And then also, are there directions in paleontology you could go that don't need human anatomy? Yes, but I would heavily advise most students in paleo to at least try to take it.
I've taken human anatomy.
You don't have to.
Not medical level, but I've taken a human anatomy class, and I don't research.
Part of that is just because like people are the most studied animals, so it's like that is just going to be your most immersive, in-depth opportunity to learn anatomy. It's not like basically it's like that is your chance to learn it. And if you're going to do morphology based paleontology, like you absolutely, in my opinion, need that hands-on experience to really understand how an animal is put together and how it works, so that you can, like in paleontology, you might think, it's less important because we're only working with the bones most of the time. But soft tissue influences bone. So I recently gave a talk where this is relevant, but like when embryos are developing, like they're soft first, the bones are last. The bone is the last thing to happen. And so they are influenced by all of that other architecture around them. And you really see that when you do the dissections, because you can see how the muscles and the organs are interacting with the skeleton. And there is, unfortunately, again, I say because I also like don't like it, the act of dissection, to be clear. There just is no better way really to learn it than to get up in there, literally.
Yeah. No, it's really, it is an unparalleled way to learn how bodies work. I wound up, while I was taking human anatomy, I wound up literally completely deleting what was then the draft of the Pseudopody monograph that is hopefully going to come out pretty soon. Literally started over. I just
Jesus,
kind of
really?
said,
I didn't know this.
I fully rewrote it afterward. I just kind of said I did not actually know how anatomy worked, like to my I just saw the bones completely differently.
Credit to you.
Yeah, I mean, this said, there are many programs that don't offer this sort of course, and many great paleontologists come out of them. The other reason I suggest that everybody take it is, like, practically the kind of job that I have is the most common kind of job in paleontology.
Oh, yeah,
and
by far.
You're not going to be competitive for those positions unless you've got some experience taking those kinds of courses. And so, like, I certainly recommend that you try to do it if you can. If you're
very quickly, James, did you just hand me this rat or did I not pass it?
You did not pass it.
Okay.
Um, I want to come up to a question that Curious Tank asked a little while ago. How dangerous is the average field work? And honestly, I think that there are different ways to answer that.
Mhm.
Um, Basically, I would say that like your likelihood of actually getting injured at the average field work is relatively low. I haven't, or at least seriously injured at the average field work. Because I've done quite a bit of field work in my time, and I can count on one hand the number of injuries that I've seen that even like required us to break out the first aid kit. That being said, the bar for danger is very low. Something that is like a bad day and an inconvenience, if you're at home or hiking at a like local trail, can kill you out in the field. So it's a lot of planning and uh, being prepared and like taking first aid classes and knowing where you're going and all of that sort of stuff really really pays dividends in the end, because it is something that you never want things to become a problem, because when they
Mhm.
do they can be a major
Did
problem.
I recalled my guys my last turn, right?
I think so.
I did not take my research cubes.
Take cubes.
And yeah, like exactly what Scott was saying is like even though the work that you're doing is not necessarily dangerous, often you're in the middle of nowhere. Often it's hot.
Mhm.
Often,
Sorry.
you know, there are animals around because you're in nature and animals can pose a danger if you either have like ranging from like literally mountain lions and rattlesnakes to if you have an allergy to bee stings. Like things,
Mm-hmm.
that you might not think of as being a problem or a danger can very easily become a problem. The heat is a big thing, at least where I've done field work. Same thing, like I've never seen a major injury or illness when I've been in the field. Honestly, I think the most intense thing that has happened was to me this summer. And I got stung on the eyelid by a bee, and I am allergic, or at least I did once have a reaction. And this wasn't even in the field. This was just driving to the field. Thankfully, like nothing happened. I'm fine. Obviously, I'm still here. But also like I didn't have a reaction this time because God knows, whatever. But that was very scary for a little bit because we were in rural South Dakota, and we found a hospital to kind of hang out in the vicinity of just in case. But there's that. I've seen heat exhaustion a couple of times. Part of that is because like it's an undergrad field crew, and some folks have just literally never actually experienced real heat like that, and they often, no matter how many times we tell them, don't bring enough water. Like they'll bring a single standard water bottle, and it's like, 2 hours later,
Mm-hmm.
everyone else has to kind of pitch in to help make sure they don't die. Um, but it depends because other fieldwork sites are like literally in urban areas right off the side of the road. It's like it's no more dangerous than going for a walk in the park. Um,
Yeah.
other sites like I don't know in the Gobi, I imagine you're pretty out there in the middle of nowhere and pretty without access to emergency help should you need it in most cases. Um, and there's other dangers too. Like I know folks have asked us about doing field work or even just visiting other countries if they're if with different gender identities and things like that. And like that's another danger that
Yeah.
some
Mhm.
folks
Yep.
have to consider. That to be realistic, a lot of field leaders might not think about. Even just being a woman in some of these places is inherently dangerous. And if your
Mm-hmm.
crew is led by old guys, as well-meaning as they are, they don't think of these things usually because it's not something that they've experienced or really have had to think about.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a long-winded way of saying it depends. But
Yeah. I I mean,
typically more dangerous than your average day. but like so is going outside in general.
Right. I mean, I think it's also like most of the time it's not particularly dangerous in terms of like it's not like you're working on like an oil rig somewhere where you're doing like insanely dangerous risky maneuvers. Like your main risk is going to be either heat, like heat stroke or heat exhaustion,
Mm-hmm.
or you trip and fall.
Or depending on the tools you
dehydration.
work on.
Right. I mean, yeah, you could hurt yourself with tools as well, but like in terms of close calls that I have had, the worst things that have happened to me in the field are like, I think the worst thing, because I actually have some scars from it, is I like fell and really like scraped up the inner surface of my
Yeah.
arm. Like I had like some long cuts like that, and I've got a few scars there as a result of that fall. It wasn't dangerous. It just like it was very unpleasant. It stung for like a few days and made doing the field work not very fun.
The
At one
worst.
point I was really sick to my stomach, and
Oh,
like that's not a
Jesus.
fun thing. Yeah, I mean it was just like about a day of not having a good time, but that's much less fun when you're out there. But again, like again, we had enough water, so as long as they were like don't dehydrate, like you're fine. And then I almost fell down like a hill at one point, but I didn't. So like, but you know that could have been bad. It's possible I would have broken my leg or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Two things. One, Amelia, are you done with your turn?
Oh, am I? Did I do my turn?
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
know. I don't think you've done.
I don't
anything.
think I did. I'm sorry, I got distracted because that was a good question.
So two, while you're taking your turn,
Yeah.
I can say that personally, the closest call I've seen out in the field has been tool related. And that was when I was doing field work out in the Hell Creek. I think I've told this story either just generally on the channel or at least to the crew before. It was the last day that we were in the field, and we were hitting up this one site that had a lot of great microverts in it, but it was a very, very hard sediment. And so we had like 2-3 guys there who were just swinging pickaxes, breaking up the stuff so we could just collect a bunch of bulk and take it back and sort it out at back in the lab. And one guy wasn't paying great attention to where he was walking and walked right behind the folks who were swinging the pickaxe. And on the backswing that one guy had with the pickaxe, it missed going like down through his shoulder by like maybe 2-3 inches. And we were just yelling at him, and he just like turned around and froze just in the nick of time. And it was horrifying. And ever since then, every time I've packed a first aid kit, I have thought to myself, what would I do if that situation happened? Do I have the gear to at least stabilize someone until we could get him to the hospital with that? And I strive to do so.
Yeah. But one thing I do also want to say, like, I'm sorry, Dalton, I'm sorry. Do you have a story here you want to share? I feel like I may have interrupted you.
No,
Okay.
not really. No.
Well, so the one thing I just wanted to address is I saw somebody say like, you know, the field work might not be in the cards for them because they have a bunch of medications they need to take. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, this is a personal decision about like without knowing specifics, it's hard to say. But like Amelia said, a lot of field sites are actually pretty close to civilization. Like, especially if you're out west, like, you know, some members of the crew are currently trying to put together a field program of some sort. And like, depending on where we wind up finding material, we may not even need to camp. We may be just staying in like a hotel nearby and then driving out for the day. That can happen a lot. There are places where field sites are like a thing you go and work at for the day or you check out for a few hours. Like, even in the dinosaur park formation, like a dinosaur provincial park, you're usually pretty close to at least some kind of civilization. No like major cities out there, but like you can do it. You don't have to do long haul expeditions. You can kind of come and go.
Oh,
And
yeah.
on the note of medications, like I know some medications need to be kept in the fridge.
Yeah.
Like even so that's if you're straight up camping, like that's a personal decision. If you think you can keep it cold enough for that period of time, you know, Godspeed. But like our site, like we're in the middle of nowhere, but we're staying at like a little cabin basically that does have a refrigerator. So like it the question boils down to, it depends.
Yes.
And ultimately, it is your own decision about what you feel is best and safest for yourself, given the circumstances of the field work that you potentially are joining.
So we've got Amber, and we've got Deinonychus.
Oh, hot dog.
There wasn't there a movie about this?
This was featured in Hollywood at some point. Yes.
Yes, sorry. So Isaac is asking again, and this is something, that's the question I was forgetting about, that was asking if we took our most important anatomy class in undergrad or grad school or both. For me, it's both, because I took the comparative anatomy class, which was with the cat, but was kind of like a broad overview of vertebrate anatomy, which was really helpful. That was an undergrad course, but I know it's often also a grad course depending on the institution. And the human anatomy class was grad school. So one of each for me.
Same here. I did a really good comparative anatomy course as an undergrad, and then I also did medical anatomy to like really, really learn the human body.
I didn't go to grad school, so I have a secret third answer, which is high school.
Yeah, I had a pretty good anatomy course in high school where we did the semester long cat dissection, and then I had in undergrad kind of the intro-ology courses of like herpetology, mammalogy, and then vertebrate biology, where we did several very important dissections, including getting to see a seal or a sea lion. I think it was a sea lion dissection, which was bizarre to see in Colorado.
Wow.
But our professor he specialized on marine mammals, so someone just sent one to him, which was pretty cool. And then in grad school, I was able to take more comparative anatomy classes, like osteology courses, which really helped round things out. I have not had the opportunity to take a human anatomy course, unfortunately. That kind of only recently just opened up as an option for the program that I'm in, and I'm too late to be spending the amount of time necessary to be taking a human anatomy course. So, oh well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge time investment. You basically can't do anything else while you take it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and would you believe it's worse to be teaching it?
I believe it.
Yeah, it takes a lot.
The kittens have climbed up to the top of the closet.
Oh.
Also,
they do be up there.
Amelia.
Yeah. I'm doing my turn. Okay. That's why I shooed you away. Get your hand out of my
Throw the rat at him. Throw the rat at him.
I can't, because then it's his turn.
Oh yeah.
No, just give me.
Don't make me get the pencil out.
What's the pencil?
That's how you get naughty marks.
I was curious. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, we have another surprise guest. This is Charlotte.
Oh, hello, Charlotte.
No.
Charlotte.
Hello. Hello, why are you back?
Skeleton Crew, now a freshman in college. Do any of you know tips and tricks on how to not be murdered by calculus?
Nope.
Shoot it back.
Nope. Take it.
I think I know what state you're in, and I think you have castle doctrine, so you are allowed to shoot the calculus if you want to.
I definitely can't answer this question, because one time at a party, someone was like, "Oh my God, Scott, it's great to see you again." And I was like, I'm sorry, remind me of how we know each other. He was like, "Oh, we were in calculus together." And I was like, "You're gonna have to be more specific." He was like, "Oh yeah, it was Calc 1 together." And I was like, "You're gonna have to be more specific." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Brother, I took that 3 times."
I did well in calculus, and so
wow.
I know.
Wow.
I like it. I actually
should give you a gold star. Should we call the president? Should we tell? What's the rest of that tweet?
Call Mr. Calculus.
What?
I'm sorry.
I feel like the guy in the Norman Rockwell painting, like just standing up. Like I did.
I
well
actually
in
like
calculus.
No, it's just it's funny. Especially because I asked you a math question like 6 hours ago.
Yes, I know. Yeah, everybody makes fun of me until they have a math question, and then they're all so happy.
Tenontosaurus.
Very good. No, I would find I would say the best way to there's a lot of online resources you could use, like Khan Academy. I've heard is wonderful. I didn't really use them, but I've heard that their videos are really, really good explanations of different topics.
I used them. They were great.
They are good, yeah.
But I think that
sorry, Dave Levering is saying get a tutor that 100%, like
Yeah.
in college, if you need help, and in high school, and whenever, if you need help, ask somebody else. And in a college setting, you have access to tutors. Use them. That's what you're paying for, is access to those services.
Right. And by the way, I'm publishing Dalton.
You're publishing Dalton.
No, I'm not. I'm publishing for 3 science points and my remaining 2 green fossils. Bambi Raptor.
Hey.
Who I didn't know was in this game.
Oh yeah, I threw that out earlier.
You did, and thank you. I wanted it.
Brief. There's been 2 questions. Let me actually see if I can find them again that are relatively quick. Asking if you need to be able to stand for long periods to do dissections. Technically, no, because in my lab we had chairs because the lab is long, and so we would alternate who had time sitting on the chair because it is a lot of standing, but like you can work around that. Like that, there are tall chairs, so you can. And we had someone in our class who had trouble standing for a long time, so she just used the chair. So, not a problem at all. And then someone asked, perhaps a sarcastic question, why we need math in paleontology, but that's because sometimes we need to use math to answer scientific questions about the paleontology.
In fact, I would argue 100% of the time. It's important. It's important.
Oh my God. Someone wants me to be aware of something. What would you like me to be aware of?
I want you guys to be aware of the shenaniganery that's happening in my closet right now. That I just sent in chat.
Yeah. So unnamed, I also took anatomy in a place where we were not supposed to sit during the lab hours. I think it was supposed to be a fire restriction thing.
What the hell?
Yes, but where I currently teach, we have chairs and you're allowed to sit.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yes. And I believe if you have a medical condition that requires you to sit, or that it would help you to sit, I think you'd be able to get accommodations.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For that. That's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I will, to the point of calculus, I will say that I struggled a lot with calculus in high school. And then I wound up having a much better time in at least in Calc 1 and 2 in undergrad, because the school I was with had a dedicated math teaching center where you could go and talk to people and they could help you and like explain things. And I also benefited from having very good professors, which that's kind of a crapshoot. So like try to get, if like there are known, if you talk to other students who've taken the classes already and there are professors who are better than others, try to, do your best to get with the professors who you think are going to match what you need. But if your school has any kind of math center, like many schools have writing centers, and I think many are starting to also have these math centers, and seek those out because those resources are very valuable, and they really helped me do a lot better in calculus in college. Then I transferred to CSU and I took Calc 3. And the unfortunate thing is that their calculus trajectory was completely different than Montana State's. And so I went to the first class and like, oh, we're going to be doing this exercise, which you should already be very well prepared for from taking Calc 2 with involving vectors. And I was like, I don't know what a vector is. I'm going to drop this class now. And then I did drop it. And thankfully it was then dropped as a degree requirement. So.
Yeah, and so someone is asking if you can still get into paleontology if you're awful at math. Yes, but to be clear,
they got stuck.
That's okay. That's not because you will avoid math. It's because you will have the opportunity to use resources like math centers and tutors to learn it enough that you're able to understand it, at least, on some level. Because like the real answer is like you can't avoid it, and you need to be able to understand what other people are saying when they use math. Which to be clear, I'm not terrible at math, but it's definitely something at the higher levels like calc and stuff that I don't engage with very well. But I at least, have taken enough classes in it that I can follow along in paleo and biological literature when it is used. Right. Which is kind of the gist. Mm-hmm. And as we've said multiple times, like if you're writing your own papers, if you find that you need math to answer a question, this is what collaborators are for. Like different people have different strengths, and that's why papers have multiple authors. Like you bring on a team that is equipped to handle the problem, basically.
And it's very much like what we said about other fields of science before. Like you at the very least have to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean necessarily being able to like I don't do my analyses by hand, but I understand them mathematically. It's a very different way of doing math that I think calc kind of introduces you to, where it is not so much like a lot of calc is figuring out how to get the function for something. You're not doing every individual calculation. You're trying to understand what happens to a relationship between variables if I do this or if I do this. And it's a very different way of thinking about it. So I can't calculate a phylogenetic tree in my hand. But you know what's happening under the hood for phylogenetics? There's a lot of math.
Yep.
And you need to at some level be able to like, and you'll get there. You don't need to be able to do it now, but you need to be able to get there in your education. Like you're going to get to a point where you need to kind of understand how tree searches work if you're going to be doing them and in a way where you know like what's going into your analysis so you can properly interpret what's coming out.
Yeah, and this is similar to like what I said earlier about like some people think that OChem is an overkill requirement for a biology major, for a paleontology focused person, but I think the way of thinking about problems that you learn in OChem, at least OChem 1, OChem 2 I think was overkill and that was dumb because that was just very specific memorization, but OChem 1 and learning to think about solving problems in that way is really helpful. And calculus is the same way. Like I'm glad that I took it. I took it in high school, but I'm glad that I had that experience with it. We didn't have, but the biology major at Carthage when I was there, I don't know if they changed it. I know they have changed it slightly, but there was not a math requirement. Or like there was, but it was a biostatistics course, which at the time that I took it was basically a how to read papers class and thesis prep more than an actual statistics class. The helpful statistics class that I took was actually from ye olde days of I started as a business major, so I took a business stats class, and that was incredibly helpful. But as we said before, the other variable is getting a good professor that is both nice and able to explain it well and explain it, not even explain it well, but explain it in a way that works for you, especially with like the types of math that are important to paleo, like these conceptual, like problem solving ones like calc and stats. They're hard because everyone thinks about them differently. So it's harder for folks to figure out what works for them, for the material and the problem solving to stick, if that makes sense.
And I think that the frustrating thing about math a lot of the time is kind of that you have to go through a period where it's very hard to do it by hand before you get to the conceptual part where it becomes really interesting. It's just kind of a problem that you wind up facing. I think it's that way with a lot of science. Like it gets hard before it gets fascinating because you're learning concepts, which doesn't mean you're learning it in a wishy-washy way, but you're trying to like, you're kind of getting at something deeper than like a fact you're memorizing. Yeah. I mean, I find this for anatomy a lot. Like I often tell the students it's kind of unfortunate that anatomy is so often now only taught at the graduate level because anatomy often doesn't make sense unless you're also learning a lot of other stuff with it, but they don't learn a lot of that. And so it's harder to get into anatomy now, I think, than if you had like a bio-focused undergrad where first you learn development principles and then you learn these other things and then you get into, okay, now we're going to talk about anatomy. Okay, well, so I drew an erosion event, but I can discard that because I want to go to the Morrison Formation.
Okay.
I would like to not erode.
Well, you'll erode after you do this.
Oh, I have to erode afterward?
Well, we'll just refresh the deck, but yes. You can still go to the Morrison Formation.
In the 5 blue way.
Okay, Alice, I think, has 2 more questions. Okay. And I think I'll probably address these in reverse order.
That was a hell of an answer, yeah.
Okay, and quickly before you do that, someone unnamed asked about a good low-level quote-unquote resource for phylogenetics software. I'm gonna link. I'm pulling up the link to my website where I have some very basic resources on like phylogenetic basics that might help you get oriented with that. But continue.
Yeah, so Alice asks, if you were tasked with making a zoo with extinct creatures, what would you most want to have? And how much do dietary restrictions, such as allergies or whatnot, or whether or not someone eats meat, affect fieldwork, if at all? And to answer the prior one, it affects it, not tremendously,
Nah.
but it doesn't affect it in terms of whether or not you can participate. What it does affect is just the pre-planning that is involved, which is the most important part of fieldwork, in my opinion. And it's just making sure that everyone, if there are severe allergies, that is communicated, so you know, like, hey, like, not only can I not like eat nuts, like we can't have any nuts in the camp, and like
That's the biggest thing.
That's very easy to accommodate, but people just need to know.
Yeah.
And if you have other dietary restrictions, like I keep kosher, or I don't eat meat, or I'm vegan, those can all be accommodated. Like I've done field work with people who are vegan, and you know, we typically, the way we handled that was we just prepared the vegetable vegan portion of the meal first, divvied some of that out, and then added in meat afterwards.
Yep.
There are ways, and it is definitely not a barrier to doing field work. It's just something to consider in the planning process.
I will definitely say that some dietary restrictions can be more difficult in certain parts of the world. Namely, when I did work down in Brazil and my curator's vegetarian, sometimes it was a little bit of a rough time finding her things to eat at some places where it was just like, oh wow, like everything has meat in it.
I am publishing another accursed beast.
Hooray.
Yay, the accursed one.
And I did also hear that another one of my colleagues is vegan and had an even harder time finding places to eat down in Argentina.
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, like Dalton said, like in the States, it's easy to accommodate if you plan ahead. And like the most important thing is if it's a life-threatening restriction or allergy, like you need to tell your leader so that everyone can be aware of that and safe. And if you have allergies, don't forget your EpiPens, plural, because they don't necessarily last very long. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, usually you're prescribed 2 EpiPens. Bring them both with you because you might need them both if you don't get to a hospital in time.
Yeah, so absolutely no. Like I've also been in the field with people who follow a vegan diet, and you know, it's generally not a problem if we've been able to, like, if we know in advance, so we know what we have to do. I think the only problem could arise if you don't communicate any specific dietary restriction or need early, and then like all of the shopping is done, and then at the end you say, oh, by the way, I eat gluten-free, and you don't have any gluten-free things. So like definitely make sure you communicate this at the proper time. But like I've been in the field with tons of people with dietary restrictions.
Yep. And yeah, it's like Dalton said, usually pretty easy to plan for like standard non-life threatening things. Like he said, like vegetarian and vegan, we do the same thing with the Carthage field work, where like dinner is made largely without the meat. The meat is separate, and then for folks who want it, they can add it later.
Also, I published Camposaurus with eggs.
Nah.
Very nice.
Nah.
Ornithischian.
Who cares? Yeah.
It's not an ornithischian.
Whatever. I don't know. I don't work on these.
Neither do I.
Okay, but I was gonna say something mean.
Counterpoint, personal attack. Classic Amelia.
I didn't.
Jeez.
I didn't. I kept it to myself.
Be knighted.
Okay. So there's one other thing I think in terms of making a zoo filled with extinct creatures, it's so hard to choose. I think for me, at the very least, I would like to see at least one example of the kind of thing I work on, just to know what they were like. But I want to address another point. So Amelia linked her website with links about how to get started with phylogenetics. This is good. I have not checked this out in a long time, but I'm going to just say I am fairly certain there's some like textbook pages written or linked there, like PDFs of different important documents. Please read them. I think a lot of people think that the best way to get into phylogenetics is to like kind of think about it like a skill they need, and they want to just start running analyses. There's a lot of math, there's a lot of theory, and there's a lot of philosophy, and it's really important that you engage with that before you start trying to run analyses under different parameters, because there's a lot of different things you can do, and you need to know why you're doing them. Like
Yeah.
it's not just like it's not like a plug and chug kind of thing where this is what I mean by understanding the math. Like, do I weight the characters or do I not weight the characters? If I weight the characters, what weighting scheme do I use? Do I score things as polymorphic, or do I choose like, the more common of two morphologies and score that for the character state for a particular species? Do I use ordered characters or not? Ordered characters have to go through intermediate states to get to terminal end members. There are philosophical arguments for and against doing that. If you're not ordering the characters, what does that mean? These are things that we all like think about all the time when we're running our analyses. It's like, you could download a matrix and run it, but I don't think that's going to be teaching you very much about how to do it. But reading this stuff would be really, really good.
Yeah. And like to, I don't know, give a sense of like how I learned it. And that's one of the documents linked there is the textbook more or less that Dr. Carr taught us from in undergrad. Because like also we're fortunate at Carthage that he teaches us phylogenetics at all. Because a lot of biology programs, undergraduate programs, like do not teach systematics, do not really teach phylogenetics. Which like I know because I took other biology classes and I only learned it because I was a paleo student, and this was part of our independent study kind of pre-thesis class with Carr, and he did make us do the algorithms by hand, just for the sole purpose of know how they work. And that was because he had heard a colleague say that phylogenetics was a black box. There's no way to really know what it's going to spit out, and that's not true at all. There is math behind them. There's a lot of really talented people that actually work on developing these algorithms, and there's some really like high caliber, by that I mean kind of confusing but like helpful papers that describe like the logic and the reasoning behind why the math does what it does and how it works. And yeah, the stuff that's linked there, I should update it and add a couple more, but it's very, very basic, but I think it's a really good introduction. And I think that textbook that I include on there has like exercises that you can do again by hand. There is some software that like when it comes time to actually like do these things, you can use to make your life easier. But for starting out and running these things by hand, just use a pen and paper. You can draw a matrix. It's just drawing, a little table and then do the math with it. But the cool thing is that all the programs that you need are open access. So you don't have to actually pay to access them. So when you get to that point where you want to try to run a matrix and or score one, which for scoring one, there are plenty of objects and things that you can practice with, like a lot of these classes.
Sorry, Amelia.
That's okay. Like we did one in the dinosaur class that I TA'd with different Lego bricks. So the students had to score the Lego bricks and then run an analysis to like put them on a tree. Or I don't actually think they did an analysis, but like we did in my class, in my systematics class at the Gilder School. We were given like these sheets of fake animals, like fake little alien critters, and you had to devise a character list and then score the matrix and then produce a little tree. So like there do exist like exercises like that. Again, they're not on real animals because like it's important to do like this is why classes have homework and exercises and worksheets, so that don't necessarily work with real data, because the idea is that you want to learn the theory behind it and how it actually works so that you can better understand it when you apply it to a real system, which is inherently going to be much more complicated, especially in paleo. We're dealing with animals that we really don't have the complete picture of. We're dealing with fossils that are often incomplete and or distorted, and amongst other problems with fossil data, which like is another separate set of research on its own. Like, how do you deal with incomplete data sets like fossil phylogenies? So, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah. And Amelia,
did
it's your
I
turn.
not pass my rat, or did I not go?
You didn't go.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it is really like it is really important to go through those sorts of examples. There was a question I saw. I'm struggling to get grips with how to understand it being ecology of the Morrison Formation. Is there any method to help with understanding large amounts of data? Graphs help, multivariate, or it depends on what the data is. You could make a spreadsheet to like list things that are found in particular localities, or like in the levels of it being different horizons. It's kind of dependent on the question. And then also, Unnamed asked, is university level phylogenetics often presented as its own course or included in other bio courses? I can't speak to everywhere. In my experience, a little bit of both. What are you, Scott? What did you write?
Thank you.
I said thank you.
Oh, I see. When I was an undergraduate, I took an evolutionary biology course that introduced phylogenetic trees and tree thinking, and kind of had like small examples where it was like a matrix of 5 characters for like 3 species, and you had to determine what the arrangement was or something like that.
Yeah.
I then also took a graduate level phylogenetics course there that admittedly I was just not really entirely ready for at the moment, because I really just did not understand how much math and stuff I was getting into. I've always wished I could go back in time and engage with that more, but thankfully I got another chance in graduate school when I was actually ready to deal with it in its own terms like that. Because we went basically right from like, I know how to make a cladogram, to like, okay, open your command line terminal, we're going to run these Bayesian analyses on enormous genomic data sets. And I was like, what is happening? Like, I wound up doing well in the class because by the end we got to phylogenetic comparative methods that I was learning in concert with statistics. To answer another question I saw before, R is the main way we do statistics in Paleo. The most common single thing, I think.
It's
there's
the way
also
the pirates like.
Right. There's also a program called PAST, which is
I love PAST.
Yeah, I've heard wonderful things about PAST. I've never really used it. I like R. You could do some very basic things in Excel, but I think Excel is one of those things where it kind of is a weird thing where there's easy things to do that are the easiest to do in Excel, and then you get to a point where all of a sudden it's much harder to do what you're trying to do in Excel.
Yeah.
Like, you could theoretically build your data sets in R by typing in the numbers manually. I always keep my data sets in a spreadsheet, but then I read that into R and do analyses there. But like sometimes I'll do a simple transformation in Excel. Like if I need this, but then I also need to convert some unit to another unit, I might as well just do that in an Excel sheet and have it auto-populate. But, like you wouldn't do a principal components analysis or something in Excel. I'm sure there's a way to make it happen, but it would be really hard.
You wouldn't do a principal components analysis in Excel.
I would, actually.
On the note of, you mentioned like the large genomic phylogenetic data sets, like just a note, like in your reading in textbooks and other things, or if you do take a systematics course, even if your focus is paleo, don't skip over or gloss over those sections, because it is important for understanding the context of phylogenetics more broadly. So for paleo, what you learn from that is how much we don't know from paleo. You in part learn that, but also it just helps because it might open the door to thinking about your questions from another perspective that you might not have otherwise, or using different methods or what have you.
And I mean, also, many of the algorithms are the same. So even if they're discussing it in genomic terms, like, you're actually doing the same math on your character data if it's morphological characters. We're dropping viewers rapidly while we talk about math, so I think we should talk about something else.
Yes, can we please talk about something more fun?
Someone else ask another math question so we can have another long answer.
Please don't. But Draco Source Gaming asked, will there be another virtual SVP meeting this year? I don't recall seeing anything about a virtual aspect of this year's meeting.
I don't
remember so either.
I haven't heard anything.
I'll also say that there was a question from ages ago to put us back on the frivolous side of questions. Someone asked, and apologies, I do not remember who this was, but I think a couple people have asked. What are our thoughts on the new Monster Hunter game?
Looks cool.
You have no idea how excited I am. I can 2025 cannot come soon enough. That game's gonna change my brain chemistry. I'm so excited. I think I'm gonna be sick that week. I don't know. I'm gonna come down with
I'm
something.
completing a global objective.
Oh, hot dog.
3 Cretaceous theropod holotypes, completely free for me.
Look at you.
I know. And Amelia, you're up. Now, there was a question, sorry. There's a question about what's the best Tarantino movie, and is there a best Tarantino movie? That's a hard one to answer. I have not seen all of them.
Neither have I.
But of the ones I've seen
all but Jackie Brown, I think.
Of the ones I've seen, my favorite is probably... God, I don't know. Probably Django Unchained, actually.
I think I agree.
I see. I would say that. Yeah.
And we just got that answer in chat, and there we go. So yes, I guess we all agree.
Yeah. I think Django Unchained is my favorite. I kind of have a very deep love for Reservoir Dogs, but I think if gun to my head, it would be Django. Love Django.
Who put those dogs in the reservoir?
Indeed.
Right, wow.
Probably Tarantino, given his history with such things.
What?
I was making a feed joke.
I was gonna say, you're making a dogs as feet joke.
Okay.
My dogs are barking.
I see, and I was thinking of a stupid joke that is not horrible, or
Mine wasn't that bad.
Implying anything. No. It was just like dogs in my reservoir. It's more likely than you think.
It is. I also do have a special love for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I
really like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I like that movie quite a lot.
Pteranodon with gastroliths.
Oh my lord.
Again, wild implications.
Gotta get heavier. Heavy flying animal always says that. All right.
Oh yeah.
I'm ending the game.
Oh, thank you, Dalton.
Hooray.
It's time to end the game.
Unnamed asked, how are the cats? They're doing well. I gave them some freeze-dried shrimp to coax them out of the closet. And one of them ate it wonderfully, and the other one did what he always does and just eats like 2/3 of it and then bats the rest of it around the entire apartment for like 20 minutes.
All right, everybody sum up your turns, I guess. Or sum up your points, rather. Should we reveal our global objectives or secret objectives?
Yes, reveal your objectives.
I drew a single sauropod.
Oh,
and then never again.
Oh.
And it was between that or pterosaurs, which I have another pterosaur in my hand. But like, Jesus.
James, that's appropriate.
I know. Yeah, theropod taxonomy. I was like, well,
wow.
I'm really reaching far for this one.
Saurian evolution.
Evolution.
I don't think I got any of the global objectives either.
I didn't get any global objectives.
I only took one.
Recall to score. You add up your victory points. You add the farthest right stage of your global objectives, and you subtract the research cube cost of any specimens still in your hand. So the white cube cost.
That's gonna be bad.
And your objective, your personal objective as well.
Damn. It's right smack dab on 90 for me. Ah, damn you,
Wait,
Dalton.
how do I draw?
There's a little on the left underneath the
Oh,
little
yes.
hand. There's a pencil.
Oh, I don't want to share mine.
Damn it, James.
I'm sorry. Amelia, share it.
Well, I'm not done with it yet. I need one more moment here. This is like, okay, we're
Even
gonna
without
put in,
Gastonia, I would have gotten third.
I'm not gonna draw it because I don't want to deal with it. So given that I'm currently in the Midwest, there's a game over here called cribbage. There's this wooden board with holes in it that you move pegs along, and like you put down cards and the goals to make 15s. And anyway, the point is, on the board is marked a line. I think it's either a third or a halfway. It doesn't matter. The point is, if one team beats you, like wins before the other person crosses that line, it's called getting skunked. And I think that that's what's occurred here. Is my score is 53.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. You got skunked.
Yeah.
Who did you have in your hand, Amelia? I'm curious.
I will put them over here. Here's a bird.
Oh, that bird hurt.
Oh,
The bird
yeah.
hurt. Oh, look at that. Wow, another one that hurt. Oh, what's this? Another bird. And a guy. Whoops. Drop the card. Okay, he's over here, I guess.
Huh.
Yeah, it's all bad.
Well,
And then I completed no objectives.
well, thank God I won because I drew theropod taxonomy, which unfair advantage. I used my
Home
experience.
field.
Yeah. Although early on I was getting very nervous because I just kept not drawing theropods. I was like, oh,
Eventually you'll get
Calestiventus, thank you very much.
I'm like, I think I went to the field first because it was like, all right, sauropods, I'm gonna need Jurassic, and then I never got a single sauropod, and the one that I had is Cretaceous. I was like, are you kidding?
That's actually very funny.
Yeah.
Matt Hedgern, average Jimbo W. True. This is how I win, said in the Adam Sandler voice from the trailer for Uncut Gems. But anyway, I guess that's going to be it for the stream. So for those of you who joined late, 2 pieces of news. 1, 2 new sticker designs that are going to be coming to our Etsy store next week. They are both bangers. I'm going to buy from our own supply, so to speak.
Likewise.
Same.
Because I desperately need at least one of them and probably both.
It doesn't share, or it doesn't want to get bigger, so here's the one.
Physically and mentally bad.
Yeah, don't reconstruct your sauropods like that. And the other one.
Yes, the wonderful stickers. And number 2, we're going to have a bonus video coming out this week showing you a sneak preview of the Paleo Pines DLC, the kind of October DLCs that are releasing. I think we know when it's going to come up.
Yeah, it's next week. It's Wednesday.
Well, no, that's when it releases. I'm talking about when the video will release, which will be as soon as possible.
Yes.
But yes, so thank you all for joining so much. Thank you those of you who chose to send in super chats or donations via PayPal at the QR code. It is something we appreciate tremendously because, as we always say, getting this kind of support just means a lot to us and really helps us keep going with this sort of stuff while we try to be both content creators and scientists, which is certainly what I would like to continue to be. So thank you all for watching. We're hoping to do some more streams coming up as we catch up on some things and kind of resolve long-standing stressors that we need to take care of. And yeah, we love doing this. Thank you all so much for coming. It's always a pleasure to chat with you guys.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to click end stream now. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.